for joining us. Our big story right now on 12 News at 6. May 23rd will mark 11 months since Daniel Robinson vanished in the Buckeye Desert.
His father moved here from South Carolina and has been leading search efforts almost every weekend. But now he says donations have dried up and he's hitting the pause button on the search.
So what is next? Team 12's Josh Sanders has been following this story from the very beginning and has more.
Sometimes your body want to say, I can't do it no more. But my mind say, I got to keep going.
Nearly every weekend for the last 10 months, David Robinson has been here, searching the Buckeye Desert with volunteers, hundreds showing up to look for his son, Daniel.
10 months is a long time. Every day is that same thing over and over again. Daniel's still out there missing.
He's organized hundreds of search groups, using drones and other technology to canvass miles of desert terrain around the crash site of Daniel's 2017 Blue Jeep Renegade. Daniel's clothing found inside out, boots and socks, wallet and laptop. No blood, no signs of injury, no signs of Daniel. He hired a private investigator and collision expert.
After the airbags came out, somebody turned that ignition over at least 46 more times.
David's teams even found human remains, but not Daniel's. Funding generated through a GoFundMe account. More than $250,000 raised through thousands of donors.
Everybody made that possible for me to remain here. Started off with roughly 200 people coming out there on weeks to go out there and search with me. That number has dramatically dropped. I'd be lucky if I get 20.
But that funding has now run dry, leading David to temporarily pause the desert searches.
The stress of the demands of trying to get the forensics work done on the vehicles and the clothing and everything else. Then I had to take away some of the equipment that's very vital and crucial.
Buckeye police do not have evidence pointing to foul play. Despite pausing the searches, David remains determined to find his son and help others with missing loved ones. He's in the early stages of establishing a foundation in Daniel's name to support other families with similar stories.
It's a non-stop deal for me. I want to make sure that the same thing that I have gone through don't happen to another family. So if I can help it.
Josh Sanders, 12 News.
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Daniel Robinson went missing 4 months ago. This is the last photo his family has of him. He's a 24-year-old geologist, last seen leaving his job site in Buckeye, Arizona.
As the Gabby Petito homicide case garners national attention, another young person has been missing for nearly 3 months, and his family is desperate to find him. 24-year-old Daniel Robinson, a geologist, was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, leaving his work site in the desert of Buckeye, Arizona.
David Robinson had only one thought on his mind as he drove the nearly 1,800 miles from his South Carolina home to Phoenix.
I had to find my son. And I'm still currently searching for him. Thank you guys for coming in this morning Q&A. My name is David Robinson. I am the father of geologist Daniel Robinson. My son, Daniel, went missing in the Sonoran Desert of Buckeye, Arizona on June the 23rd, 2021. My son, a geologist, graduated from the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina, came out to Phoenix, Arizona to start his career, start his life, and his aspirations. Daniel started immediately after college, landed his job here in Phoenix, working with a company called Matrix New World, also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater, where he was hired on as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. What Daniel does for a living is he go out to various well sites all over Arizona to check the viability of wells and do some other things. By law, most communities that's being built in Arizona have to have wells, and those wells have to produce at least 100 years of water. Daniel's job is to determine that, and also, like I said, check the water, the rock sediments that comes out of that well as well. On the June 23rd, my son went to 2 well sites. He went to one roughly around 7 o'clock that morning, and then he went to the second one that way he eventually went missing. On that morning, he contacted a person from a company called Weber. He called the guy to get the directions to the location out there off of Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road area. My son did get directed on the side of the shoulder of the road, that leads into that desert. According to this worker, he and my son had a brief conversation. Once they did finish the conversation, my son followed him into that desert. They drove 1 mile west and then 2 miles north before they can reach this well site. After arriving at the well site, this worker said they had a brief conversation, roughly around 9 o'clock. Brief conversation for 10 minutes, and in that conversation, during that conversation, my son also described that he wanted to go back to Phoenix, or it was also said that maybe my son was asking him that he wanted to go back to Phoenix to rest. The other part of that the equation is this worker said that my son decided to wave off and just drive away, where my son have never been seen since that day. Here it is, June the 15th, almost a full year, and my son have not been seen. According to this worker, he went to go look for my son. He inquired word about where he was located. He followed what he thought was my son's tracks. He said he stayed to the left of those tracks and followed my son's tracks because he didn't want to disturb them, because he knew the police would become looking and that this thing would become nationally. He followed those tracks to a T-junction, the T-junction where my son, if he would have turned left, he would have been going towards back to Sun Valley Parkway. If he turned right, he's going farther out into the desert. He said the tracks went to the right. He followed those tracks until they came up to a gate. He went into his gate. Once he got through the gate, he drove another mile or so, and he got his vehicle, got up on the hill, ended up eventually going on top of a hill to look out and see if he could see my son from a distance. He also described to me that he took a can of spray paint, a red spray paint, spray rocks of red spray paint, just so he could show the officers where these tracks was leading. My son has not been seen since. I came out to Arizona because on June 23rd, I put in a missing persons report. That missing person report wasn't taken seriously. The Buckeye Police Department decided that without evidence, that my son is a grown man. If he want to disappear on his own, he can. They didn't have any evidence of my son saying that to them, but on their assumptions, that was their activities. Of course, I did push them to try to go out there in that desert that night to search for my son. They told me they couldn't because they couldn't get a helicopter out there that night. to go out at night searching. So we had to wait till the morning. Of course, I was waiting that whole night. The next morning came. I did have indications that they were going to go out with the search. About an hour or so later, they called back. The officer called back and said his higher ups told him that the flight was unauthorized. So they couldn't. They would not be searching for Daniel. Like I said, because he's a grown man. If he want to disappear, he can. That right there by itself had made me realize that this police department will not be searching for my son. So I grabbed everything I can as a father and put in my vehicle and head out west, where I'm here today. I came out on June 26th. When I came up coming to on the 26th, I did receive a phone call from my auntie saying the Buckeye Police Department is putting this Phoenix Firebird in the air to conduct their search. I'm very relieved of that, but they came up empty-handed. They searched the area where they searched the area where this vehicle will eventually be found. There was no vehicle out there. As well as started search of my own. They also week and a half after that point, almost 2 weeks later, decided to do a second search for my son out in the desert. On that search, they used Civil Air Patrol, who also they say searched the same area where my son's vehicle will eventually be found. They did not find it. Again, on July the 19th, there was a rancher out there. He said he was there 2 to 3 days prior before the vehicle ended up showing up, which would have been around July the 16th. My son's vehicle wasn't there. He said he came out there searching for his cattle in the same ravine that this vehicle was eventually found. The vehicle wasn't there because the cattle goes down that ravine to make it to a corral that's south of this ravine. The vehicle wasn't there, but on the 19th, when he came back through there, the vehicle was there, and he reported it to the local police department. As it stands now, the Buckeye Police Department didn't feel like there was an investigation necessary. They gave me everything that belongs to the scene. They didn't do any forensic work on the scene. They gave me evidence, everything that was at the scene, and evidence bags marked for safekeeping, as well as giving me the vehicle the next following day after it was found, and that was on July the 19th. I did ask them to hold that vehicle for a few days until I get somebody to get it out of there. Asking them to put a tarp on the vehicle so rain wouldn't get hold to it, as well as at the same time I was securing a meeting. I had secured a meeting with the chief of police at the time. I did demand that they have a forensics fingerprinting done on that vehicle, which they said they'll hold it for a few more days to do so. And after the vehicle was turned over to me again. All right. Again, I'm here this morning to talk about my son's case. This is a Q&A to talk about my son's case. This morning, also, I want to let you guys know I will have a guest on. I'm trying to get her on now. And I want you guys to really, really pay attention to her story. She have a missing mother, Diane T. Francis. I don't know if y'all heard of her mother's story, but yes, she has been missing ever since November of 2005. Sometimes we think that's a long time, but for family members, it's really rough, very rough to have to go through that kind of thing. Having a missing family member, especially having a missing mother. I don't know how it is to lose a family, a mother. I know some friends of mine who have lost parents. Very hard thing, very hard thing. So I wanted to bring her on to talk about her mother's story. But in the meantime, I will be also highlighting some of the things that upcoming events that we have here. I want to tell everybody, first of all, thank you for coming in on this Q&A again. I really appreciate it. Taking your time out this morning to be a part of this. I just want to point out that I do still have the Day of Remembrance. If you guys can come out, we definitely we're having the resources out there. I reached out to various law enforcement agents here in Arizona that will be coming out, as well as some of the mayor offices to come out. And have some resources like NAMUS, working on them to be out here to help some of the families who have missing loved ones. If you have a missing loved one, please come out, bring your table, bring your flyers. We would love to have you out there so you can share your family story, and we can bring some light into your family's your missing person's case. So definitely want you out there, be a part. And if you're don't have a missing person, we just want you out there for support. We do need support. I need support. These families need support. So want to make sure you guys, we have Sherry that's coming on. She needs support. So if you guys can please give these families support, all your support.
and all your love. So also as well, I just wanted to mention, I'm going to leave that on the top of the screen. The anonymous tip line as usual. I am going to say this every time I have to. My son is still missing, and that's always someone who may know something about what happened to my son. I'm sure they're out there somewhere, and we can say something. You know, a lot of times when people have information about what happened or they have been involved in some form or fashion, they usually come to things like the searches I had out there. They come to things like this Q&A. They always be a part, but reluctant to say something. So if you have, please, I'm asking you as a father, I'm asking you as a human being, show your empathy, show some humanity, and speak out. That's what the tip line is for. I got that for you. I'm paying for the services. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. Live operators will take your call. They allow you to be anonymous as well. If you don't want to speak to anybody, again, like I have on the bottom of the screen, you can just text the word tip to that number and the form will still come up and you still can remain anonymous. So thank you so much. If you can, really, really, really in advance, please bring some closure to what happened to my son. I really appreciate that. Also, as well as anybody else want to get in contact with me, you can use the number that you see on the bottom of the screen as well as the email. Those two areas, there's two ways to contact me. If you have any comments, to suggestions, to, you name it, you can contact me directly with those two forms, the public cell phone number as well as the email address. Want you guys to utilize that as well. All right. Q&As. Everybody know the Q&As going forward would be only on Wednesdays. I had only the Wednesday Q&As. Starting to decide to go ahead and take some of those time that I have now and utilize that time going forward for other things. Of course, I'm doing my own investigation to, stuff I'm doing with the search and everything else. And speaking of search, I want to let you guys know I am planning to have the next desert search will be on June the 25th. Along the same day we have the Day of Remembrance, the same day it'll be at 6:45 on that morning. So if you guys want to come out and help me out there in the desert out there, you can please go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com and you can find more information out on the search. I will be putting some more information this evening about the search. But for now, I just wanted to announce it to you guys, let you know I am going out into that desert out there to search again for my son. And I hope that you all can come out and support. So that'll be I'll be very grateful. My family will be very grateful. There's some areas out there that definitely need to be searched. It's been mentally hard on me to have put it on pause in the first place. And for now, I have to go out there to make sure some of those areas that I can get is covered. So it's getting past, like I said, it's going on a year. It will be a year by the time that search comes on June 23rd. It will be a year that my son is missing. And I definitely have to get out there and try to find my son. So if you guys can help me out there, please come out on June 25th to help, as well as that evening. We will be only there from 6:45 that morning to about 10:30, giving me time us time to get back in at 6:30 that evening for the Day of Remembrance. So you guys can please be a part of those two events. I really, really, like I said, very grateful. I want to thank you up front, and God bless you for your help. If you guys want to help in other ways, you can't come out to the search or to the Day of Remembrance. You can go to Please Help Find Day as well, and you can volunteer in other ways. There's a volunteer in other ways tab. You can put your information there, as well as you could go on the PDF there. There's a PDF for the flyers. If you guys want to pass out flyers, you want to create those flyers, there's a PDF for those flyers. So definitely want you all to be a part of that as well. You can sign a petition. Oh, I did check the petition, by the way, and I'm really grateful you guys constantly putting your voice out there. It's not just a petition; it's actually your voice. You put your voice out there, make your voice heard. As you know, you guys have been fighting for what I believe in. I need some justice for my son. I believe that there should be justice for other family members. There shouldn't be this wait for 12 to 24 hours and things like that just to report your missing person. Because we already know the first 24 to 40 hours is very crucial. And whenever law enforcement hinder, I call that obstruction of justice, when they hinder you from being able to report something that You know, if you're a family member, you know when your person is missing. You know when something is strange. You know when they broke their patterns. You know about your loved one. Rather, there's someone who just want to run out and they just run the street and things like that, versus a person who is very responsible. And you know when the pattern is broken, you speak to them all the time, as I have with my son. My conversation is always 2 hours long. My son had no reason to keep anything from his family. You know, we definitely open family. We talk to each other, so we don't have anything we have to hide from each other. So you guys, we know I know Daniel. We know my son's pattern. So family should have that, be allowed to express that and allowed to have that attention based on, and that should be the first evidence. The first evidence is what the family said, not the coworkers. You don't go to coworkers and tap on the coworkers' shoulders and try to prove your point to say that this person, you try to prove a point that this person want to disappear on their own to back your own thinking up because you just don't want to do the work or something. No, you need to go by what the family said, and you should work very hard to go locate this person as if something terrible happened to this person. Then you work your way backwards and to prove at that point, after that point, that that person is okay. You know what I'm saying? Work the way back and prove that there's no crime have been done or anything like that. And then that would by itself show the family that, you know, nothing happened with this person. Locate this person. Person say, hey, I just want to be to myself. You can tell the family, hey, we make contact. The person's okay. And then things would be a whole lot better for that family. So again, I want to say thanks to everybody who did put a voice to that petitions. 117,215 when I checked last night. And I'm very, very happy to you know, see that, you know what I'm saying, just your voices. If you guys want to sign a petition multiple times, you can. When you do that, you use the minutes email addresses that you have. Every time you use a different email, that's your voice being amplified. So I'm definitely going to be using that towards law enforcement and getting some things changed as well. So I want to give you know, thank you to Chef Zone of the Maricopa County. Like I said last week, he had opened his doors to listen to my son's story, and as well as try to see if he could do whatever he can to help. As well as the Phoenix Police Department reaching out to me and making sure that they can do anything they can, as well as Tempe, the Police Department of Tempe, and also the mayor of Tempe for reaching out and trying to do everything they can to help. So I'm really grateful for them. And those are the things, some of the great things that have been happening in the background. Just wanted to point those things out. Again, I want to go back to the comment section here, and I want to thank everybody who came out to support this Q&A this morning. I will be, like I said, having a guest on hopefully here. I'm having Sherry Snyder will be on to talk about her missing mother. Her mother had been missing since, like I said, November 2005. And I want her to be able to talk about those and share her mother's story. So I'm waiting to see if I can get on now. As soon as I get up on the in the green room here, I will be bringing her on to the show. On this channel. So thank you guys for being here. I want to say thank you also, D Love, for being here this morning. Being a part of the Q&A. You come here constantly, and I'm really grateful. A lot of you come here constantly, being a support. Thank you, Gina, for being here as well. Searches and also the flyer distribution. You've been there 100% of the time. I really appreciated you being out there and your support. Thank you, Yunu, for everything you have done, your passion. Though you're not here in Arizona, you do everything you can to help my cause to try to find my son. So I'm really grateful for you being out here this morning as well. So thank you, Barry, for being here this morning and also moderating and being part of the team, as well as T. Sophia. Thank you so much for all your hard work and everything you do in the background as well to help towards finding my son. Esther Levy, thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you, Shauna, for being a moderator as well, and everything you do in terms of for the team and everything you do for the search of my son. I'm really grateful. Tanya M, thank you for being here. God bless you as well. I really appreciate you coming out this morning. Seema, thank you so much for being here. If I say your name incorrectly, I apologize. But thank you so much for being here this morning. Also, D Love again, thank you. Thank you, Shauna, for being here. Thank you for moderating and helping out. So I want to thank everybody. If you guys have any questions, I'm really trying to reserve this question after I talk with the guests. But if I see one here before the guests come on, I will take this one question. And then from that point, I'll be trying to bring on Sherry in onto the Q&A. The question is, have you looked at NamUs, case 22-1888 in Pinal County? No, I have not. I haven't been on NamUs website. I have I've been talking to NamUs, but I haven't been on their website to see the case number. But I will, if I can remember that and get it down, go back into this case 22-1888. I'm sure my moderators, my team will see what you have there and write that down. So if there's something significant there, definitely would be happy. And thank you so much for pointing it out. But I will look into that as well. Look at that as well. So thanks so much for putting that up there. All right. I'm going to try to bring in my guest, Sherry Snyder. Like I said, she's we're talking about her mother. Her mother went missing in 2005 in November. I don't know the pain of missing a mother. And, we don't know what the circumstances of that. We're hoping and praying that God bless, as well as I'm praying that God bless with Daniel to bring her mother back home. It's hard on the family. Like I said, it's very hard mentally, and to have to go through that with the family. So, having that kind of missing person in your life. Sometimes, we take things for granted, and we don't know how much it affects people when those things do happen. So definitely praying for her and her family. Again, like I said, I just want to bring her on to be able to talk about that and she can say what she need to say, and make sure you guys, if you can help, there's somebody here in the just listening, and you have avenues or heard anything or seen anything, you guys want to help her out, please do so. So I'm gonna see if I can get her on here. I don't see her in the green room just yet. But I definitely let me see if I can get her in here. I definitely would like to have her on. If they're Sherry, if you could try again. I think she has some little issues with her camera. If she can come on and try again, I really appreciate it. If she can get there. There you go. I see you come on now. So I'm gonna bring Sherry in. I really thank you all for giving her your attention and your love. She has been showing a lot of support for what I have been doing here for Daniel. I want to show as much support as I can for other family members. That's why I was saying this whole platform is not just for myself, it's also for other families who want to highlight what's going on in their life. So without further ado, I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for being here. And here's Sherry. Thank you, Sherry, for being here this morning. I really appreciate that you coming out to be part of this Q&A. Thank you so much. Okay, I think I'm missing your sound right now. That's okay. I think we'll get there. Yeah, sometimes it can be a little tricky there. Let's see if I can help you out on this end, if this way I can do that. Let's see here. Okay. If anybody can hear Sherry, I can't on this end. If you can, give some thumbs up so we can know. I can know you can hear her, and if you can hear me as well. But I can't on my end. I just want to make sure it's not something that's happening here on my side. Right. Oh, okay. So Esther saying that she thinks that you're on mute. Yeah, if anybody can hear me, can't hear me as well, I need to know that as well. But if you can hear myself or you can't hear her, let us know that. But we're trying to work on that right now. again. Okay, good, good. Okay, so we got one end, Sherry. We have one end working, so we're gonna have to figure out the other part there. Again, this is Sherry, everybody. We definitely want to be talking about her mother's case. I don't want to be the one talking about it. I want to make sure she have a chance to speak out. But I definitely am happy to have her on this morning to be able to do so. Like I said, is very important. It's very important that we highlight what's going on because this missing case. Um, Missing persons case is really really high here in the United States. There you go. I think I hear something now, Sherry. I did for a second. I thought I heard something for a second there. Uh-oh. It came on for a second and went out again. But uh, you might want to try logging out and then log back in. I can bring it back on again. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you again, everybody. Yes, we're at this time trying to get Sherry back on, and I'm sure that will happen really soon here. But like I said, this platform is definitely for families. Saying as well. Saying my whole goal here is to highlight my son's case, and to make sure that his story has been told as well. Like I said, over time, have become very passionate about helping other families as well. I know the pain that families go through just to, saying the pain that families go through just to deal with law enforcement, for instance. I think some of the study I've been doing in this case with Sherry, she have gotten some of those same things. The police departments didn't want to help out, as well as sending her to different. She had to go to different departments just to put in a missing persons report, that type deal. So that's some of the things I'm sure she'll be telling you guys. Oh, I think she's back here also. She'll be telling you about. So I want to try to bring her in again. Again, this is Sherry. I'll see if I can hear you this time. Oh, still don't have it. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. And if I can't get you here right now, we definitely will keep continuing to try. So feel free to be able to do that as well. I'll just keep on talking until we get there as well. So um, again, like I said, you guys definitely. I don't know if Sherry's okay for me to start putting some pictures up there as well. The pictures that you have shown, given to me. I just want everybody. Uh oh, I heard something just now. Okay. All right. Okay. I think I thought we was going to try to get it this time, but this is Diane T. Francis. Thank you so much. I think I have your mother's name correctly. Thank you so much for sharing that with me, Sherry. And I think I hear a little something coming in. It's a little mic sound, but I'm not sure if that's yours. But this is Diane T. Francis. Like I said, she went missing on November 2005, I believe, out of Florida. And Sherry's been doing everything she can from that time, from the stories I've been going through. She's been working very hard and diligently to find her mother for all these years. Haven't given up, as well as like I tell you, I can see a family giving up on their loved one. She haven't given up on her mother. She had did tremendous work to help try to search for her mother. Still don't have any answers. So, if you guys have seen his mother's face, anybody have any clue of anything watching this right now, please see her mother's here and definitely say something. Of course, you can. I'm not sure. I'm sure Sherry, when she can come on, she can give the tip line and things like that. As well, you can use my tip line if you have to, and I definitely. Okay, I think I heard some feedback. Okay. Let me try. Let me try something real quick here.
All right. How about now? You can try it one more time. All right. Well, like I said, so thank you, Sherry, again. Thank you for coming on. We're going to get this thing right. We're going to get it figured out. But like I said, it's hard to have a missing loved one. And, her mother is beautiful. So I thank you guys for the comments and things like that. I really appreciate that. You guys are showing love on the chats. Um, oh, you can't hear me either. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, I think we're having technical difficulties on both ends here now. Um, all right. Let me see here. I hope we having. Let's see here. Let's see if I got some. Maybe there's some technical difficulties on the StreamYard end here. If you guys can hear me, I apologize for what's going on here. I'm definitely gonna get that fixed up, and we'll be squared away to go. All right. All right. If everybody can hear me. Okay, you can hear me again. Thank you so much. All right, again, we're still trying to work on this. This is new for both of us. It's new for myself. It's new for Sherry, as well. So you definitely, if you guys can hang in there, we'll get this thing squared away. But I did want to highlight and show her mother's story, and that's the reason why I'm bringing it on. So hopefully that will happen shortly. So I'll see if she can come back on again and try again as well. And we'll work from there. Let's see here. Sherry, you there? Okay. All right. Well, in the meantime, I will try to bring her back on as well. So, Sherry, if you can hear me, if you're trying to get that mic on, just continue to try. And if I hear your voice, I would jump back back to you. So, in the meantime, I will just continue to talk about this case. Definitely, like I said, I think for lack of words here. I think, like I said, it's very hard for her. And definitely, like I said, she's been working very hard to locate her mother, as well as I have myself for Daniel. Of course, you guys know, especially people who may have not been on this channel before and heard of Daniel's case, but don't know the full details. Again, my son went missing on June the 23rd. And from that date, like I said, he have not been seen. Heard from. There's no movement on his bank account statements or anything like that to suggest that he have anything going on there, social media, etc. So definitely looking into those type deals to make sure that make sure we can do anything to find my son. Saying also, I'm sure Sherry's doing the same as well to try to find her mother. We look for certain little things. It's sad when you have to start your own investigation, as Sherry have as well as myself, start your own investigation and look into your family member. I often hear that a lot with families have to go out and go through the streams to try to look for their loved one. Like I said, if they would have looked, for instance, for my son on day one with an urgency, I don't think I would be sitting here right now. I would have had answers a long time ago. I think the vehicle wouldn't have been missing for almost 30 days before it showed up. It just happened to show up. We're not going to ignore the facts. Saying the facts. A person can sit there and try to wash away the facts as much as they want to, but we definitely have to look at the common sense. For instance, in my son's case, that the vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior, according to that rancher who found the vehicle. And to back his story up is the police department themselves. They back up their rancher's story. They say they searched that area where this vehicle eventually will be found. And I'm gonna tell you what they tried to do. They tried to come on the news channels and things like that and say the terrain was so thick they could have missed the vehicle right from the air. Now, from the air with the helicopter and everything else they're doing out there, they claim they're doing. They could have missed the vehicle. And I can tell you guys, if I was pulling this picture back up here, I can show you. This look at this behind me. I just want to let you guys see that a little bit. I promise you guys come out there on the 25th.
the searches, I can take you in this area and you can see what I'm talking about. It's not enough vegetation there for that vehicle to have not been seen if the vehicle was there. So I said, the truth is they back up the rancher story. So, the vehicle wasn't there. The vehicle said, the rancher said it wasn't there 3 days prior. The police department backed that story up by their own searches. They say they did a search on almost they put it on the closer to the 23rd, but they cannot say they actually did a search on the 23rd for my son. They did not do a search on the 24th for my son, but I can tell you they did it almost 3 days after my son went missing, for them to do their first search. And that first search, like I said, with this so-called Phoenix Air Firebird, was done covering this area where this vehicle was found. Will be later found, as well as almost 2 weeks later, about 2 weeks later, with the Silver Air Patrol on July the 9th. They did a search with Silver Air Patrol, and that came up empty-handed. They haven't found, like I always like to say, they haven't found even a construction cone out there. They haven't found a pink elephant out there. They haven't found anything. But we was finding human remains out there at the time. So they haven't found anything out there. They say they covered this area. They have a big map there, and they didn't find that vehicle. So the rancher story is backed up. Not only that, of course, we cannot ignore the fact that there's a red transfer paint on that vehicle. It didn't come from the desert. It came from somewhere outside of that desert. That just shows that vehicle wasn't there as well. Also, the fact that the vehicle Daniel wasn't riding around that desert for almost 30 days. With the wrecked vehicle. The vehicle was wrecked 4 hours after they say he left that well site. He left the well site around 9-ish that morning, a little after 9, roughly 15 minutes after 9. And the vehicle was found at 1 o'clock, around 1 o'clock that day. Not found, but the vehicle was wrecked around 1 o'clock that day, according to the data. So what happened from that day, when that vehicle first got wrecked, all the way until it ended up in the ravine, we don't know. That's the answers that we're trying to find. And but it shows that the vehicle, with that 11 additional miles, by the way, that was on the vehicle wasn't there. The 46 initial cycles after the vehicle's crash, the vehicle wasn't there. But at the same time, with all of that, on the Buckeyes police side, when that vehicle was found, they didn't do any forensic work. They didn't do no hard work. They didn't do the searching. They didn't find the transfer paint. So I want you guys to know that now. The Buckeye Police Department didn't find that red transfer paint. They didn't even look. They pull it out of there. They pull that vehicle out of there so violently. If they was really trying to preserve something, they would have did a better job even pulling the vehicle out of there. They pull it so violently they bust the tires. The tires been the record they pull it out with, broke the tire, bust the tires out. The tires wasn't flat and things like that. So you can look in the pictures. You see them very filled with air, bust the tires out while pulling that vehicle out there. You can look at the terrain where they pull it out, deep gashes in the soil out there, because they pull it out there violently. They hadn't found anything. They didn't take the time to even look. They didn't even take the time to read their own black box data that they pulled. My investigator had to find out that the vehicle was cranked 4 to 6 times after that to some of the other stuff that black box data told him. He didn't go out and do his own pull of that black box data. He got that from the Buckeye Police Department, who haven't even read it. They just turned it over to him. Say they told him personally they weren't investigating. So they told me personally that they had no more leads to follow. They came on social media to the news stations. They had no more leads to follow. So that type deal, because they wasn't looking for no more leads, So the whole point is, and it's evident by them giving me everything in evidence bags marked for safekeeping. So that's the kind of stuff that families have to deal with and we have to go through when it comes to trying to find our loved one. I'm still trying to get Sherry on. If you can hear me, I'm still here. Definitely waiting to see if I can get you on here. If I can't, we would try again. Definitely, let's see. Okay. All right. I think it's showing on my end that you're still muted. If you can try to get off the mute, maybe that'll come out and work. I'm not sure if you can on your end, but if you can still hear me, I'm still waiting. And if you want to jump on anytime you can, I'll be here waiting. I'm just going to keep talking about Daniel's case. And then you're ready to come on. Feel free to be able to do so. Okay. All right. Also, definitely, like I said, you guys, it's so much with my son case that things could have been done at the beginning properly. Shouldn't have to be, or Sherry or anybody shouldn't have to be out here to have to do the things that we had to do to look for a loved one. You know, that's what tax dollars is for. That's what we pay these officers to do. Like I said, we don't work for them; they work for us. You know, it's almost the same thing. I was at my searches. When I go out there, I have my website. Please help find Daniel.com set up where we take pictures. You guys will be out there on Saturday on 25th. And you see, we take pictures out there, and those things go to the website. And when it goes to the website, one copy goes to Buckeye Police Department, as well as my investigator and myself. So um, initially, it's almost as I'm working for them. You know, they hadn't found those human remains. My searchers have. You know, things like that. So they haven't found the other devices out there. My searchers have. You know, they haven't found those clothing, the pile of clothing, and I'm not talking about the clothing that my son's clothing, allegedly my son's clothing. I'm talking about the clothing that was found near the well site in the same manner my son's clothing was found. You know, they didn't find that. We have. You know, so even going with that, just stop real quick and pause with the clothing. You know, I'm still. They haven't even tell me if that's really my son's clothes. They just see some clothes on the scene and say, "Yeah, that's your son's clothing. His underwear, his socks, and everything on the ground." The detective even asked me, "Do my son wear boxes of brief like I know what my son, a grown man, is wearing on his pants? Do he wear boxes of briefs? You know, they saying it was his clothes. I don't know if that's my son's clothing. Me and my family, we haven't recognized those clothing. You know, one thing I can say, I haven't seen those clothing to this day. You know, forensically or not. You know, from my investigator or not, I haven't seen those clothes. But I can tell you from pictures and things like that, my family, we do not recognize the clothing. That's why it's important that forensic work be done to even determine if those are really my son's clothing. It could be anybody's clothing. Another part of that is that might be a reason why if they say they use cadaver dogs and search dogs, they had the clothing right there. You know, them dogs can pick up scent based on those clothes. They could have get a dog send them clothes, and they go searching for my son out there with these dogs. So that they say they have, like again, I said they come up empty-handed. Um, but they had those so-called dogs on that scene. They claim. And if it was my son's clothing, they should have been able to track. They shouldn't have told me. They said, "Well, Mr. Robert, we didn't see any footprints. We didn't see any. We couldn't. The dogs didn't track anything. We didn't see no tire tracks, no nothing." And I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing." They have found nothing on the scene with all these cadaver dogs and search dogs. They say they have plural. You know, so that type stuff. So, you know, definitely I'm going to keep team on my end to fight for my son. Again, you see why I fight so hard and why I have to be on defense for him. So I'm going to continue to do so. If anybody have any questions right now, we're going to jump into the Q&A side of things until we can get Sherry on. If I can get her on. Sherry, if you can hear me, if you try to come on again, if I see you pop up in the green screen, I would try again to bring you on back on to the main screen. But for right now, I'm just going to keep you there in the green room. All right. If you guys have any questions, I will be coming down to the comment section and answer those questions. I would like to answer those as well. I don't like on the bottom of the screen. Please don't forget the day of remembrance on June the 25th, 2022 at 6:30 to 10 p.m. And if you guys can attend, I really appreciate it. Sherry, she will be there. So you guys know if she want to talk about her mother's story here, you definitely need to be there to support her on the 25th. She's one of the families that will be there highlighting her mother's story. All right. And I really need y'all to make sure you're there to support her. She really need that. She really need the world's eye on her mother. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, for Daniel, you never know. There's always that one person that may have seen something, you know, or may know something and finally come out. Only if they can know that somebody's still looking for this person. Only if they, you know, get some kind of indications and stuff like that. That really help people move forward to saying something. So I think it's very important to be able to put your person's story out there as much as possible. I do see some question. I think I said, "Oh no, I don't have questions." Don't forget to put the capital letter Q down there, or question mark, or you know the word question before you ask your question. we'll be coming down the comment section as well. We'll be coming as well to answer those questions. So I am looking down the comment section for those. If you have them, please do so. My moderators, if you have anything you guys want me to share with everybody, please do so as well. Have those out there for me. If I miss your question, I'm gonna start right here with D Love. If I miss your question, starting here, please, by all means, ask those questions again. All right. So also, I will tell you, I will be having a Q&A this evening. So everybody who want to come in this evening as well, the Q&A prime time. Like I said, on Wednesdays, there's going to be 2 Q&As, always one in the morning like I'm doing right now. And then there's also be one in the evening. That'll be at 5:30 my time here in Arizona. That's Pacific time as well at 5:30. But that'll also be 8:30 p.m. On the East Coast side. So depending on where you're at, you guys can come in and join in on that Q&A. Maybe we have Sherry in on this evening Q&A, but we'll try again. I'll get with her and we'll try to figure out what went wrong on the sound there, and we'll see if we can get straight out. I really like to have her on. I really like you guys to know about her story. I will put something together if I can. I'll get her permission and try to highlight some things that's going on, and maybe you guys can help. Like I said, definitely be there on the 25th to support her. That would help as well. All right, I have a question from D Love. Mr. Robinson, what all can we do to get Ellie involved to help bring Daniel home? Some of the same things, call, voice your opinion. Some people have been writing letters and things like that, and let them know, hey, look, this is what we need. One thing I can say, and I'll keep saying it over and over again, I'm not advocating or even asking anybody anymore to ask Buckeye to do anything. Hey, Buckeye, step the game up. Buckeye, no, they did so much damage to my son's case as it is. I don't have any confidence in that department. I need them to, what we need them to do, if you guys want to reach out to Buckeye, for instance, is ask them to move my son's case somewhere else. Put somebody else in charge of my son's case. They have whatever they said to the FBI at that time. Definitely, like I said, whatever they said, I couldn't, which I don't really believe that, but this was told to me when the FBI themselves said that Mr. Robinson, you're doing such a great job on your own. We don't need to come in. Like, I'm better than the FBI. I don't believe that, but that's what was told to me. Whatever they told the FBI, it caused that one agent that I went to go see with the FBI to say that Buckeye is doing such a great job. If they're doing such a great job, why do we have all the evidence and everything that could be evidence to a crime, right? If there was something come out and say it was a crime committed, where's the evidence? What are they investigating right now? So the FBI agent who said that they're doing such a great job cannot say they're doing such a great job when they did that, as well as they haven't found anything. We're finding human remains out there, that type deal. They didn't find the red transfer paint. We found the red transfer paint. We found the additional 46 miles, 46 initial cycles on that vehicle. We found that. Buckeye didn't find that stuff. Everything you guys know when it comes to things like that, it came from myself, meaning that it came from my investigator that I hired, and that stuff came from us. That's the things that we turned over to the Buckeye Police Department. It wasn't something that they came up themselves. They did such a great job. If they did such a great job, they wouldn't wait almost 3 days to go search for my son. That's not a great job. What kind of job is that? Saying if they did such a great job, they would have cell phone pings and things like that. They would know instead of putting out that Daniel in their report that Daniel said he was tired. I mean, like it's a crime to be tired when you go to work. Saying? My son been working all night. If they did their job, they would have known that. I had to find that out. If they did such a great job, so that type of stuff. If they did such a great job, they would have did forensic work at the scene. You would have been seeing this picture that they gave me right there. You would have seen forensic markers on the ground. If they did such a great job, like I said, they wouldn't put my son's clothing in evidence bags marked for safekeeping. They would mark it as evidence, and they would still have it to this day. The vehicle the same way. If they did such a great job, they would look for blood in that vehicle, not with their eyes, like they say. We didn't see any blood in that vehicle. No, I wouldn't know that if there's no blood in that vehicle. If they did such a great job, they would have known that as well. So the agent who said that, he's not doing such a great job for even saying that. Because that let me know if he can think that way as well. Saying he's not doing such a great job himself. So Definitely wanted to point that out. I know I'm way off topic. My team always tell me that I get off topic. You ask a question, and then I will go out to something else. But thank you, D-Love, for your question. I always think of Miss. Thank you. I really appreciate you putting this up, Jennifer, as well. Thanks for being here. I always think of Daniel. My sister recently did tarot reading. I still need to watch. I know you're not too big into that. I'm not. You're right about that. But sending love and light and from the entire Cooley family. And I really thank you, and I really appreciate that. The Cooley family, I really appreciate you doing that. Your prayers and your love support, I really appreciate it. And thank you, Jennifer, keep coming on and being a part of this Q&A as well. So thank you so much. If anybody else have any questions as well, just put the big question mark there. Like I said, the big capital letter Q or anything like that, that definitely will help out for me when I come down to the comment section to see your question. Again, if I missed your question already, trying to get this thing going on with Sherry, I probably have missed it. So feel free to ask those questions again. If you can't do it today, right now on this Q&A, you can also come back this evening and do it on the Q&A this evening. After I get one more, I just want to point out some things still. Again, I'm going back through my banners here. Don't forget the Day of Remembrance that I have here for you guys. That's scroll on the bottom of the screen. The anonymous tip line for those who know what happened to my son, who have an ideas of what happened, not just ideas of what happened. You know, that's what the other numbers for, the email and things like that. But who have facts and who know what exactly happened to my son, tangible as evidence and things like that. That's what the tip line is for. You guys can utilize that if you have information. I'm really needing to find my son. I'm really needing to bring him back home. So you guys, whoever listening and know something, need to say something. It's time to speak out. It's not time to keep continuing on to hold back things that can be said. That's what it's called, anonymous tip line. You know, nobody know who you are. One thing I can suggest, if you really feel that you have to be very cautious because you feel it some way, I don't know what your circumstances are, by speaking out, you can also easily purchase a burner phone or something, something that don't have your name attached to it. If you don't feel comfortable, and then still utilize the text to that number and just use the form, and then go ahead and give your tip. If you want, if that make you feel a lot better, make you feel more secure. So the whole bottom line, I definitely need some information. I definitely need to know what happened to my son. So again, you can just text the word tip to that number and go from there. Also, everybody else, you can utilize the number you see on the bottom of the screen as well as the email. And also, I want to let you all know that I will be having a search on the 25th that morning at 6:45 off of Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road. And if you guys can come out and join as well, be in support of that. I will be reaching out to some of the people who want to help as well with their drones and also their side-by-sides and quads and razors and things like that. So have all that. Like I said, just looking forward to you guys coming out to help. So I look for my family. I call them my extended family out there, people that came out in the past, who came out in the past to help. I would like to see them again as well. Definitely go out there and try to make sure you guys are safe and we get a proper search out there. So, all right. Looking for any more questions. Let me see here. Let's see. If any more questions there, please put your question here. I will be going down the comment section looking for those. And let's see here. All right. I don't see any more questions here so far, but if you have them, please, if you don't have them today, right now on this Q&A, definitely come in this evening with your questions. I will be back on for the Q&A. I will be there to also give you information about the upcoming events. Like I said, the search on that morning, and as well as a day of remembrance for volunteers and who want to be a part. They can still come to that as well. We try to make sure we're at that desert around 10:30, at the latest, to make sure everybody can get ample time if they want to be a part of both. So I will be a part of both. Of course, I'll be there at the desert search as well as, like I said, a day of remembrance. to help families, help my son as well, to get his story out there, to be part of those resources that would be there. Definitely need to be there myself. You guys need to be there for support. That'll really be really. I know this family like Sherry. We are very happy about that as well. All right. All right, let's see if I have a question here. And I do find, pardon me, you all, I'm really looking hard for these questions. Kind of have a little pattern where I do things, and just coming down that comment section is very long. That's why I say it's important to do what Jennifer done here as well. Put a big question mark there, like I said, or some type of word question or a big capital letter Q that helps. All right, where may we contribute monetarily for search efforts? I send super chats, but don't see the option. I'm glad you brought up super chats. I did talk to on yesterday about that. We just kind of have to mention that. I don't know the ins and outs. As you see, Sherry and I was trying to get this interview thing going. Some things I didn't have time to actually sit down for the channel and get the ins and out about things like super chats. I know about them. And I learned about those doing interviews with some of the content creators and things like that. So I heard of them and I've seen them. Even being on like I said, some of those channels that was using them, and so I know those super chats are, and that's really helpful as well. Those instant donation and things like that. But I do have a GoFundMe. It's please help find Daniel.com. You can go on the donate tab and that's one way you can. Also, on the Twitter account, as well as a Cash App. I have got that Cash App for those who didn't want to get a GoFundMe because they feel the fees. They don't want the fees to come out, and wanted to have some other avenue of donating. So, but my preferred place will be the GoFundMe, and as is on the please help find Daniel.com website. So thank you, Jennifer, for even offering and doing that. I really appreciate that. Definitely need that support, and that's one of the reasons why I put the searches on pause. But like I said again, I have this stuff to do. There's such a great job that Buckeye have done. I have to get the forensics done myself. So do those things myself and get those things looked at. So, and that costs money, and so I have to make sure I was saving for that and getting that done, because that's very important, as well as the investigation I'm doing and some of the answers and things like that. I have some things I have found out as well that would be tied in with this stuff. But I definitely want to be out there in the desert to search for my son. There's some areas out there that definitely have been missed, and some that need to be searched. And this weekend, hopefully I get some of that done. I can't get everything done, but I will have a search that weekend, and then I'll decide what we will be doing going forward in terms of desert searches. So, but for right now, that weekend and that weekend only, for right now, is what I'm focusing on, getting that search done. And some of these areas that are definitely, depends on the turnout, of course. So once I get there, I really don't have a real indication about the turnout. A lot of people will sign up on the sign up sheet there, saying that, hey, I'm coming out to that search, which I will be changing that form today. But a lot of people don't; they just show up. So we never know what happens until people actually show up. So how much, and then from that point, I can go with hey, splitting people off and where I can utilize the search. So hopefully I can do some line searches. That's one of the biggest things out there. That's how we found the human remains. We call them line searches, as well as hasty search. We was finding human remains that way. That's very detailed search. So hopefully I can get a lot of that going. I can utilize everybody, whether it's ATV, UTV, whether if you have drones and things like that. I need everybody. So, all right. I have a question from D Love. Mr. Robinson, is it possible Daniel drove someone else out to the work site? Anything possible. Anything possible. I don't know. I don't have no evidence to say that, but anything possible. And I would like to know that. If he had somebody in the vehicle with him, I can't say the guy at the well site didn't suggest that anybody was riding with Daniel that morning to that well site. I don't know if Daniel was right up there and dropped somebody off. I do not know. So there's some things I wouldn't know. But like I said, I don't have the things to suggest that. but I can't say definitively no. That's impossible. It is possible. All that stuff is possible. So, all right. All right, Jennifer, again, thank you so much. When has local and national news covered Daniel's story? Will it help if we inquired with these news stations and LE? Well, my son's case did go nationally. Of course, I've been working very hard for 3 months on the local front, getting my son's story out there on local news. I've worked with some radio stations here in Phoenix, here in Arizona, and so I was getting Daniel's story out there slowly. That way, I have, and this is the way I'm going to tell it. I know how the news cycle tells the story, and I know how the world was telling the story. But this is the facts that I know. I worked very hard, worked 3 months trying to get my son's name out there, trying to get a story out there. When I say name, I'm getting a story out there so we can get some awareness. Somebody can know something and hear something. So I need, in my head, I need my son, everybody in this whole country to know my son is missing. And so I've been working hard for that. That means going many nights with no sleep, constantly emailing, texting, inboxing, you name it. Everything I can think of creatively to get Daniel's story for everybody to hear, especially social media is the biggest tool. I was able to end up writing this tweet, which was picked up by a young lady who retweeted that tweet. And then she made a comment about if everybody should just take a moment and, on my son's case. And that went viral. That helped as well. Helped my son's name to get out there farther on the social media front, as well as I was able to utilize some strategies as in to get to some of these people like Joy Reid, who ended up picking up my son's story from a friend who told her. And that friend is one of those people as well, when I look back, where I was constantly inboxing and getting to her through that way. So some of those strategies worked to get some of these people attention, and they took on the story, as well as the Petito case. When the Petito case happened, my son's name was already there. That's the reason why they didn't just pull my son's name out of the hat. His name was there because his name was all over social media. They was talking about it on Joy Reid. She came out and talking about the white woman syndrome, missing white woman syndrome, and from that point on, that's when people start talking. We had that big debate about the disparities, the way they cover people of color versus white women, for instance. And so those things help a whole lot. It helped us help my son's case to go nationally. I was able to also get interviews with people like Red Table Talk, to Dr. Oz, and some of the other ones, CNN and so on, and Paramount Films and stuff like that. The people. So it's been going everywhere. Dan's story went out really far. But what I'm saying, one of the biggest parts that I did notice since I've done that is that I'm doing this Q&A, for instance. I'm doing this Please Help Find Daniel YouTube channel, is because I knew, it's like what I write on the Twitter. When the lights go out, when people stop losing interest, I'm still gonna be here. I'm still gonna be here searching for my son. At the end of the day, you can I watch news enough to know that eventually the news cycle moves on to something else. It become old. It become old news. It's no longer new news. It become old news, and that's what happened. So I had to make sure that I have provided a platform for my son, and I made sure his name stay out there. I had to work hard on that front, meaning that I had to go out and get these billboards from the east side of Phoenix to the west side. I had to go out here and get these flyer distribution hitting really hard, as well as doing everything I can. I didn't want to get on TikTok. I remember when I first heard about TikTok, I'm like, I'm a different kind of guy. I'm not going to be dancing around. I thought that's all they do on TikTok, dancing around on some TikTok. I'm not that kind of guy, but it's a good tool. It's a tool to be able to use to get Daniel's name out there. So I'm on TikTok, trying to get Daniel's name. So what I'm saying is you have to constantly do those things to make sure you keep your person name out there. I mean, even going to meetings, going to these police departments, visit them, and so on and so on, just to make sure that the story don't die. Don't make sure his case don't become cold, is what I'm trying to say. And definitely continue to fight for that. I'm doing it now. And that's why I have this YouTube channel. That's why I ask you guys, if you can, to hit that like and subscribe button, for instance, because that helped me get out farther as well, because social media is really big, and people utilize it more than they would news. Word of mouth is bigger than any news organization out there, so people can pass that on. All right, I think I have a question here. What did he do for work? Daniel is a geologist. Again, he graduated from the College of Charleston with honors. He's a geologist, and his job at Matrix New World is the company. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. He's a field geologist. He got hired on as a field geologist. They also call it a hydrogeologist because he work at well sites. And what Daniel do for a living is he go check the viability of those wells, make sure those wells are producing at least 100 years of water by law. They have to before the community can be built and things like that. And as well as get those samples for the rock sediments that's on the bottom of those wells, because those are just supposed to be drinking water. So that type deal. That's what he do. He go to various well sites through assignments from his job. That's why you found the work computer on in that vehicle, because that's the computer they use to give him his assignments and things like that. And he's a field geologist. That's another thing I want to point out. And I know I always go off the other subject. He's a field geologist, meaning that he's in the field. He gave him a laptop. He don't have to come to the office. My son, so for the Buckeye, the police department, to be hard and strong on, the coworkers say he was I'm like, what coworkers was that? He wasn't even there. He didn't even see his coworkers like that. Daniel's rare. They told me that I went up there. They rarely see him. They rarely see their field geologists out at the office here in Phoenix. They're field geologists. They out there in the field. They out there. They go straight to their houses and things like that. They have a little table. These guys come in the back door in a sense and drop these samples off, and they gone. This type deal. So who is these co-workers that say, that morning he wasn't even there? So it's to me, it's fictional stories being made up and put in the report, and so that's the kind of things that irritates me when good work is being done by a police department, according to this FBI agent. All right. Here you go, Barry. Thanks so much again for your question. According to Buckeye report, Ken said he got a call around 3 p.m. that Daniel was missing. Was Ken at the job site the entire day? Well, you know what? He told me he probably was at the job site the entire day, because when I asked him personally about this Phoenix Firebird helicopter search that they say Buckeye said they did, he said he was there that day. They claimed they did these searches. After my son went missing, he continued on being there every day, every morning, all day. And when I asked him about that search, for instance, he said, I ain't hear no helicopter. He said, I don't recall no helicopter. I ain't recall. They didn't even come to the job site. And I know that because this year we had a live, and one of the lieutenants admitted that they never been to that well site, Daniel well site. So I call it bogus. And they're still waiting on this day to prove that Phoenix Firebird helicopter stuff didn't actually even happen. But going back to your question, he said he got a call around 3 p.m. There's some discrepancies about that story. One, he says that he called them. That he told me he inquired looking for my son. He just took it upon himself to go look for my son. Then you hear another side of the story to say, they like you saying there, the job called him. I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing two different things from the job itself. So, it's two sides of that story, the way that exactly happened. One thing, saying around 3 p.m. And that's something new that was added to the report, because it's going to fit everything that wasn't originally said. Saying, like I told you guys before, I have the original report. I have the original report unredacted. I just happened to look at it last night when I was getting things ready for Sherry for the show. I have those written reports. That stuff is not in that original report. These are things that's happening as I'm talking on the Q&A, as I'm going into the public's eye, and they give these people time to add things in there to make sure that it fits these stories. That's the way I'm looking at it, because some of those things that's been added always goes along with things I say in the public. For instance, when the vehicle wasn't there, it was never there. The person who put it there, in my opinion, the vehicle was, just like my investigator suggests, it was staged. It was put there. I was on local news trying to get coverage, trying to get national attention, and I was on the news saying, "Hey, this is the last place my son been seen in this desert." They provided that vehicle out there in the desert for me to try to find. Definitely the vehicle wasn't there, but it appeared there. But I want to make sure that we found it there. When I say we, my searchers found it there, or somebody was going to find it there. So it wasn't there all that time. So a lot of times when you're talking and things like as I do, people go back and start trying to put things together to fit what you're saying and that type of stuff. So, all right. As well as a question here from Jennifer, is Daniel's job still involved in assisting? No, they say it with their mouths, but I can't say they have donated. When I first started my searches, they have had some of the workers. Like I said again, I don't know if that's a job mandate. It came the owners and the company say, "Hey, y'all need to go out there to Daniel's father's to his searches out there and help him much as you can." I don't know, or it was just the kindness of those workers' heart, and I tend to want to believe that because they're really nice people. That they just, hey, by the kindness of their own heart, say it's coming out to help in the searches, and they did come out as volunteers to help in the searches, man the gate and things like that, go out and do some line searches with us. But they have since stopped months since last year sometime, doing any desert searches out there, as well as any kind of other assistance and things like that. No. So I do have one. That was Daniel Boss. He would come out to some of the searches before I pause them. He would come out to searches from time to time. Sometimes his wife as well would come out to the searches to help. But the rest of those workers, no. And the company itself, no. I have never got to reach out from the company itself and say, "Hey, we're going to be a part of the searches." And I'm going to say the company itself, I mean the owners and things like that. I did talk to owners, very nice people, very saying, a lot of things. Hey, yeah, we're here to help and things like that. So they would talk in that way. So, all right. Anybody has any more questions, please put a big question mark there. Jennifer have done here, big capital letter Q or the word question before you question to help me out. Okay, I have another one here from D Love. Thank you, D Love, for being here this morning. Mr. Robinson, have you been able to retrieve cell tower data for Daniel's phone? If you can, share. I haven't. Some of those things are cell phone tower data. I guess you're saying cell phone pings and stuff like that. That come from those companies. Those companies don't release things like that without a warrant and things like that and stuff. So being that it's not my phone, I'm sure that company give me a hard time. But no, I haven't access to those things. That's the things I've been asking the Buckeye Police Department to do. If they're doing such a great job, they, like I said, they've been providing those cell phone pings a long time ago. They would have done that and not hide under the cover of saying without trying, a judge wouldn't give them a warrant to get those cell phone pings. So no, I haven't gotten anything from Dane's phone, that type of deal. So hopefully I can. Hopefully somebody can. These friends of people, they can get something like that. Definitely need it. All right. Also, thank you, Jennifer, again. Mr. Robinson, how many sets of remains did your searchers find? Well, that's hard to say. Like I said, if it's 3 femurs, for instance, or 3 hip, 3 arm bones or whatever, then we know it's 2 people. So that's how the count was being done. So some people have some discrepancies on the exact number, but that's the way we average it out based on the number of bones. Like, for instance, we only have 2 arm bones, so that's, anything more than that is made 3. If it's only 1, then we still count it as 1 person. So, but we don't know if we found one here and then we found 1 somewhere else. If they end up, except if it's forensically matched that way, we wouldn't know if it belongs to the same person. So those counts came from things like that as well. At what point does LE leadership step in? I do not know. If you're talking about Buckeye itself, I went to Chief Hall. He's not doing much. The Chief Hall came out to 1 search, and this is literally. I'm telling the story over and I say it for a reason. For you guys, you can infer anything you want to from that.
But this guy came to one of my searches, and I have my theories about that, but I'm gonna leave that to you guys. But he came to one search, just one only, right? This guy, I asked one of my former search coordinators, brought him to me. He was late. He never was late himself. My search coordinator, that is. And he was late. He the one told me. And now here it is, mind you, is the weekend after this vehicle was found, right? I still had my search. I had my searches going on before this vehicle was found. That weekend for that search, I'm sitting there from my search coordinator at the time. Hey man, I know where that vehicle was found. I know the vehicle where your son's vehicle found. Okay, good. This is the quarry area, he called it. I want you to go down. We're gonna go down there and have the volunteers come down there. That's a good open area. I already searched it. I didn't know so he must have been in the desert without me. So he said, "Hey, you got this big area." Matter of fact, we use this area to this day to stage. And but anyway, we're gonna meet this area, what he called the quarry area. And I said, "Okay, great." So I'm sitting there. He late. Got the volunteers there. A lot of volunteers out there, and lo and behold, he show up over the horizon. I could see him with his vehicle. I know his vehicle looked like, but I saw another vehicle riding behind him, looked almost identical. Both of them look like police vehicles. I didn't know what it was. White vehicle coming. All right, get out there. Lo and behold, my search coordinator jump out of the vehicle. I spoke to him, and then some other guy jump out, and lo and behold, it was Chief Hall. Right. Chief Hall came out grandstanding, no respect to me and my daughter sitting there. My son, this department have never even showed me this scene to this date. Never took me out there to show me anything. But he started yelling real loud, "Hey, everybody, y'all want to know where this vehicle was found? It's right over this hill over here. Y'all come follow me." This type thing. This real big grandstanding thing. Me and my daughter looking at each other. It was so disrespectful. Yeah, he bringing all these volunteers for us to follow behind him and have me and my daughter following him like, we just some average Joe person who don't have a missing person, just hanging out there, and y'all come follow me so y'all can show all of y'all where this vehicle was found, right? I was like, okay, all right, we followed, and we got up there to this hill. He pointed down this ravine. He was like, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, that's where your son's vehicle found. I was here, and I was this, that, blah, but I'm looking at the back, looking at that ravine. I'm like, they don't like this picture. That one picture they gave me, because I remember this little stump sitting there. What I found out was a cactus. It used to be a cactus that probably got struck by lightning, was on fire, or whatever the case may be, burnt down. I didn't see that. So I'm like, okay, this guy may got it wrong, but that's okay. Well, he say he been here, he's talking about. Then he started going off about the cartels. Oh, the cartels is bad right here. This whole cartel thing about, I don't know if he was insinuating the cartels did something to my son, but he was like, oh, they landed planes on the Sun Valley Parkway at night, dropping their drugs and this and that and blah, blah, blah. While he was just going off and showing off and whatever he's talking about, my daughter tapped me on the shoulder. And I'm telling you guys the story for a reason. Tapped me on my shoulder and say, "Hey, look, Dad, some guy want to speak to you, him and his wife." Okay, went out there to see what they're talking about, away from Chief Hall, and it was the rancher. The rancher showed up out there, say, "Hey, I don't know why Chief Hall is talking like I don't know why Chief Hall is showing y'all. They ain't where that. It was right here." He pointed down in the ravine, and he was right, because I remember that stump in that picture in my mind, and it was right there. And he showed me it's a glass on the ground. He said, "I don't want to found the vehicle and this and that and blah blah." And he was going on, so we all kind of congregated there. When he said that, Chief Hall turned red in the face, walked past us, and never came to my searches ever again in life to this day, ever, right? Or the rancher. Neither one of those came out. But the way I take it, I have my own theories about that, but I'm gonna leave that alone to you guys. Now, like I said, that vehicle, as in leadership, that's not leadership to me. When you can ignore the sensitivity of the moment, and you take a whole bunch of people with you like that, to show a family area where their loved one was their vehicle was found, and their loved one wasn't. That's disrespect. So I don't see leadership in that kind of stuff. I don't see leadership in what's called a chief who's been suspended before for falsifying documents on crime statistics. That might explain the reason why we found all those human remains out there, and they haven't been made a crime scene out there yet.
I don't see them do a one crime scene out there when we found those human remains. I think it was in November, the end part of last year, and those remains are really fresh. Still, the bones are still pink. Had the marrow on it and things. I don't want to be so graphic, but it was fresh, right? And that's the only time. They even then called it animal bones. They tried to downplay my search is really bad. It really frustrated me in the past because they went on a news station saying, "Oh, it was all everything they found out it was animal bones except for one, the skull." They couldn't deny a human skull because a human skull is a human skull, so they couldn't deny that. But everything else was human animal bones. Everything animal bones, right? Just like they called that remain that day animal bones. Until I made a big deal about it, we made a big deal about it, and they had to go and send it to Maricopa County examiner's office, and it came back. We waited 3 hours, but came back all human bones, and that's the first time I've seen that department ever come out there and made anything a crime scene. I made a video of it. And I brought it here on the Q&A as well. So that's not leadership. I don't see leadership in that. But anyway, any other oversights of such magnitude would be job loss. And you're right, the oversight. I mean, how you can have that you're claiming? I'm still asking Phoenix that. That's one thing I want to talk about Phoenix too as well, because they allowed it and used their helicopter to search that. Use their helicopter for a search. Then they part of the of the case of looking for my son, right? And they saying Buckeye saying they use Phoenix Airbird, they Firebird helicopter, and so it just is a lot with that. I would like to talk about that, but you guys, I definitely want to share that story with you all. I don't see any leadership at all in terms of Chief Hall or leadership at all in the department to make some of the things they had done. They destroyed my son's case. I mean, let's total just tore it up, And to this point, I don't need them to continue to have their hands on my son's case. They need to go ahead and let it go somewhere else, somebody else who can do the job correctly and get some answers to what happened to my son. So, all right, and work with me to find out what happened to my son. So that's what I'm looking at right now. That's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for nothing more or nothing less. I'm asking them to relieve themselves off of my son's case and give it to someone else, another department that can handle that. All right. Do have a question here again. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your question. The question is, was Daniel in Arizona alone? No, he has family there. He has, his sibling there. So no, he's not by himself. Was he there strictly for his job opportunity? Yes, he was here for a job opportunity. He definitely was that. He wanted to expand his horizon. One thing I told my children growing up, the world is bigger than South Carolina. And it's a home state, but you can't do much there, especially with the careers that they have. They all scientists, and you're not going to do much in terms of growth being there. You have to go out and venture out. You have to get away from there, and that was my dreams of hope that they actually did, and they did. Got away and started pursuing their own careers and their own life. I call it leaving the bird nest. You leave the bird nest, go do your career, do what you got to do. One day, when you want to retire, and just you in your last days, I'll just put it that way. Come back to the elephant graveyard. Come back home and retire, or whatever the case may be, if you want to. But the world is bigger. Just go out and do some things, and that's what he was doing. He was pursuing his career, pursuing his dreams, as well as his siblings. So that's what he's out here in Arizona for. All right. So thank you for your question, Jennifer, as well as Karida. Oh, thank you. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you so much again for coming out here, this Q&A, and supporting everything else you do. Say, do you need more drone operators? Yes, I do. And I do have, for the search that's coming up, I do have one nonprofit who's definitely wanting to be a part of that, and I'll be reaching out to her today, as well as you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Definitely, yes, definitely need those drones out there. So thank you. All right, Deborah Bridges, question. You having another search? Yes. I decided that I do have some support from, like I said, some nonprofits that want to go out and help with the search. I've been needing to be out there in that desert like yesterday, like last month or two, since I had to put it on pause. And I see the help there, and I'm just going on this opportunity now to at least get this weekend, that on the 25th, that weekend of a search, of some areas that's really bothered my mind, some searches that we didn't complete from the last time I was out there, as well as some areas, depending on how the turnout is, some areas that needed to be searched that we just didn't have the numbers to do. So hopefully we get a big turnout, and I get some of those areas searched. One thing for sure, and I just talk about those human remains, it bothers me, and I said this before. We found human remains out there, and I know exactly how those people, family members, are found, scattered. There's never a full skeletal remain. I'll put it that way. And for a person to be out there in that desert, I know what the desert does to a human body over time, because you got all kind of forces out there. You got the rain, wind, water. Uh, when I say rain, barely in the rain, but you got the wind, the water, the dry heat, and that type deal, as well as you have wildlife out there that's just moving things around. So, um, and then the desert is huge. It's very intimidating. It's very widespread. That's why people say, "Man, you've been searching for over 40 weeks." Yes, and still have area to search, because the Sonoran desert is huge. And if you go to any stand at one point and go in any direction, back and forth, those are directions we have to go based on those science and stuff. Like I told you, the 11 additional miles to how far a person can walk, for instance, without dropping. In my son's case, the only thing that was suggested by this act of my guess is stage event. Um, Everything was about is supposed to be on this ground, you know. So how far can a person walk barefooted with no clothes in that Sonoran heat without dropping? Things like that. So everything's based on stuff like that, and also the elements out there, like the from a crime standpoint. Somebody having a vehicle, took them away and throw them in one of these mine shells or something. I mean, there's all kind of stuff out there. So all of that is based on so many things, and that's what made me have to go out so far in certain little areas and things like that to search for my son. And that's what real policing and real work is, when you really want to find somebody. I think by protocol, probably, or by some type of police, what word I want to use, the um, a mandate or something, they got some kind of rule they have in that department. They For missing persons, I'm almost guarantee you, they do enough. They do enough to say, "Hey, I searched," but as in really caring about that person, I don't see. I don't think the department really care. I mean, they care about that budget, and they care about that money before they care about going out and spend a lot of resources on a person to find somebody loved one. The only way a department would spend unlimited resources on a person if it's one of their own. Had this been a police cruise out here and a police officer uniform on that ground out there, you can tell me that every blue shirt, every blue Life Matter flag, and everything else would have been down on Buckeye every time to search for this officer. Every law enforcement agency, it wouldn't be the FBI coming in to say to his family that he's doing such a great job on his own. They didn't need to come in. They had the FBI and everybody else onto that officer's case to go find this vehicle, this police cruiser sitting on the side with a police uniform 3 feet away. My son is just important, just as much as important as any officer out there. So in Buckeye and everywhere else. So that's the same energy they need to do to find my son. Is the same energy I'm looking for. So yes, I'm going out there to search for my son. I had to continue to do so, and I'm looking for every opportunity to do so. And this is one opportunity where I can, do so. And so hopefully it works out, that I get the numbers and things like that. So I'm going to go take it in faith. Like I said, I had some people reach out to me and really want to go out there and help me search. And so I'm going to utilize that and have the search on the 25th. I say it's divine. I believe it's God stepping in to help do some things that I really need. Like I said, I had to put it on pause for those various reasons, but I'm taking this in faith, and we're going to actually get this thing done. So, all right, thank you all in advance for those who coming out. I really think that you all will come out and help, and I'm really grateful for you. All right, I have a question here. Thank you, Ryder. I want to say again, thank you so much for being here again. Question: do you need more drones as well as for your desert? Yes, I do. I do need those drones out there. One thing I need is those specialized drones. I've been saying this before in my past searches. I definitely need specialized drones to search certain areas. Some of the infrared technologies to some of the other things that can search certain areas. There's some areas that's very hard in the past searches to get to because of the terrain. We have a hot Sample River, even though it's dry. You can walk across and things like that, but it's still hard for people to get there on foot because of the soft terrain for vehicles to cross. We have to utilize when we go across those riverbeds and bottoms and stuff. We use 4x4 vehicles, ATVs, UTV type vehicles, and so we just don't have enough. We'll have enough of those vehicles to transport people to the other side of that river and things like that to search, do the line searches and things like that on the other side. So logistically, it was kind of hard. So definitely, I need the drones and also those UTV vehicles and stuff like that to help to compensate for that. All right, so thank you. I really appreciate it for that. And let's see if I have any more questions. It is 8 o'clock. I guess thank you guys for, again, like I said, coming to this Q&A with your questions. I also have a Q&A this evening at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, as well as Arizona time here, Mountain Standard Time, and as well as it'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys can come back, hopefully I can get Sherry back on. I will reach out to her after I finish my Q&A, see if she want to try again this evening. We'll try to work that out before we come on to see. I really want y'all to hear her mother's case. She's been working really hard to try to find her mother. And I know it's hard. I look at 2005 versus now, and she had to carry this weight all this time. Had to carry all that weight of having a missing mother. And if you guys can put yourself in her shoes just for a moment, then you can understand her pain. So she carried that for a long time, but she's not giving up. She's keep on trying. That's what we do when we have loved ones, and we just definitely want to keep fighting for our loved ones. So I'm really grateful to hear and see her doing that for her mother. So if you guys can come on this evening, again for this evening Q&A, definitely would like to see you there to support Sherry or anybody else who want to come into the Q&A and want to share your loved one's story. So you can reach out to me as well with that number that was on the bottom of the screen at 803-200-7994, or you can go to Please Help Find Daniel at yahoo.com. Please Help Find Daniel at yahoo.com, and leave information there. Hey, you want to get on the Q&A? I can reach out to you, and we can go ahead and bring you on. So, all right, we want to share this platform to help another family. I do have a question. Oh, I did miss this question. Okay, here's your question. I'm about to jump off of it. Hi, was wondering if you have heard of a contacted or heard of or contacted Heavy D Sparks. I did hear of a Heavy D Sparks. I don't know who he is, but I did have heard of him. They are a nonprofit group helping find missing and find the missing and work with nonprofit labs. Want me to contact them? Sure, and I will try to reach out to. But I believe that name sounds real familiar to me. I've reached out to a lot of nonprofits. I've reached out to a lot of people, and that name do ring a bell. I just, like you said, I don't know exactly where, but yeah, you said the nonprofit. I'm sure, and that's what it was, a nonprofit type. But yes, that would be great if you can. You can have them to reach out to me as well. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com, as well as 803-200-7994. You can have them reach out to me, and I would love to speak to them and see what they have to offer. So definitely need all the help I can as well, especially the search that's coming up on 25th. Definitely need all the help I can. So thank you for that. All right. Have one from Esther. Thank you for your question. The question is, Ken said he got to the site and he asked Daniel if he wanted to wait 20 or 30 minutes for the rain to pass. Then the second statement, he said it was going to rain. Do you think the stories make sense? It don't make sense because he told me similar story that it was going to rain. It didn't rain yet. The indication I have, it wasn't even raining when Daniel decided to get in the vehicle, according to him, and drive off. You know, Daniel was worried about the way the story was told me. He was worried about the pending rain. He said he looked at the cell. He said the cell was going to pass by, and he was going to wait it out. Right. And so it's two different things. I don't know when this part was added. I'm just waiting to the Buckeye Police Department continue to write what they write, because I have already seen indications to this whole report when I was going through with one of the content creators, and we was going live. I was using the report they gave me, and she was using I call them new reports, because they told me this is the final report. When they gave me that report, they gave me a partial report. Ms. Robinson, when the detectives finished doing their little stuff, they're finished writing, we're going to give you the full report, the final report. It's going to be the final report. And that's before they told me they had no more leads to follow, as well as they told my investigator they had no investigation going, right? Because that was the final report. And like I said, when I put those two together, you can see whole sentences changes and everything else. So that type stuff. Like I said, that's been going on since. And that's the kind of thing that's irritating. And I'm just waiting. You know, lies compile lies. It's get bigger and bigger. So just let it watch it play out. All right. Then the second statement, okay, he said that he was going that it was going to rain. So yeah, it's a bunch of stuff you see with these stories. But yet, these guys would take a story, especially with a person who last seen my son, and this person say, hey, this is what happened, and then you don't go vet that story. I wouldn't go vet that story. You guys seeing that on YouTube here. Got in the vehicle once I finished the search, hang around that desert out there, and I walked these stories. I want to see these stories. I even walked the story with this guy, say he seen my try to figure this out when he said he seen my son through some rifle scope of his. You know, you got to play these things out. You're a detective. You need to go out there and play these things out and see if it's even possible. You don't take a person's word for it. And just go with it and write it in your report. Like, what kind of crap is that without vetting? They wrote that stuff in that report so fast. It's impossible for them to have did real deep thought about anything they wrote in that report. So, yeah, they definitely just take a person's word for it and went with it, in my opinion. All right. All right, thank you, George, for being here this morning. Do you have a response to the social media post that Buckeye said they have been wanting to do forensic work on Daniel's items, but they don't have access to it? Why they don't have access to it? They gave it up. They write it as if it's my fault or something, or somebody else's fault that they don't have access to it? They had access to it. They the one got the stuff off the scene, and they have it in evidence bags marked for safekeeping. They the one gave it to me, told me to stay in my pocket space and meet me and put it in the trunk of my car. They the one gave it up. Nobody didn't take it from them. They didn't. They can't say they didn't ever have these items. They gave it up. They gave my investigator the black box data that they didn't know how to read or didn't care to read, and told him they didn't have an investigation. They did that. Nobody did that, George. They did it to themselves. They don't have those things anymore because they gave it up. They gave up their rights to it. They had me to sign a piece of paper, for instance, for the vehicle. I still have that. That type stuff, they gave it up. So don't go whining and try to put it in the public's eye that somehow somebody's or suggesting that somebody holding something back from them. No, you had these things, and you gave it to me. Gave it to me, the vehicle the next day after it was found. The clothing and everything that was on that ground, the computer, all that stuff they found in the vehicle. They gave that stuff to me days after that. A few days, probably 3 or 4 days after that point. So, so when I hear you say that, do you have a response to the social media posts? They put a lot of stuff up that Buckeye says they have been wanting to do forensic work So they admitting that they knew friends with. So that goes back to say what I told you guys, what they told me in that meeting. You know, they told me in that meeting with I had a person there observing, as well as my recorded conversation myself. This is a one-party state, so I record everything. I did tell the sergeant detective that before he turned red in the face. Yeah, I record everything, you know. And one of the things they told me out there, Chief Hall and the rest of them, those detectives sitting there with Chief Sanders as well. The detectives said they didn't do any forensic work because they didn't see any blood in the vehicle. I was like, how you know no blood in the vehicle? Because my mindset was like, don't y'all have some kind of, I don't know, I'm not a detective person with this stuff, science, but I'll see what they say on TV. They have some type of spray or some kind of light or something to see if somebody wiped up blood, for instance, or blood used to be there, whatever case may be. I know those kind of things. Those are things you learn from just watching TV. And they haven't done those things. So like, what I'm saying is, George, and it's not jumping off on you or anything. What I'm saying is Buckeye can suggest anything they want to. They don't want to drop the ball on my son case. That's the reason why, again, I told you guys they did so much damage to my son's case. I don't want them touching my son's things. I don't trust them. I don't trust them to do the right thing. I don't trust them to be able to handle my son's things correctly. They already damaged enough. They can do what they want to do. They can try to get a warrant, whatever the case. I would fight that because I'm telling you the reason why. Because they did so much damage as it is. I'd be damned if they're going to do any more damage to my son's stuff, as well as in my opinion, falsify some things, you know. So it's not going to happen just to make themselves look good. That is definitely not going to happen. My son need to be found. The bottom line is Daniel Cornelius Robinson need to be found, and that's just the bottom line. I don't care about their jobs. I don't care about their life and all that stuff. My son is missing. I don't care about their feelings and their emotions and their egos and everything else they got going on in that department. I don't care about all of that. I just care about them doing their job and finding my son. And they didn't do that. They dropped the ball. They actually damaging my son's case. They need to let it go. I don't care about them like that, you know. So I don't feel sorry for that department or anybody else. If they dropped the ball, they caused my son harm, and it caused my family harm, and they don't need to touch anything that belongs to Daniel Cornelius Robinson. They don't need to do anything at all. So that's their problem. They need to figure it out for themselves. All right. So that's how I feel about that. And I will see if you guys have any more questions. I definitely would like to answer those questions. Just put that big capital letter Q there, or the question mark. I have to get off in a little while. I do have some other things I have to take care of this morning. But I do these Q&As once a week now, and I want to make sure I get to everybody. You guys have definitely been very much help by coming to these Q&As, asking these questions, as well as being part of my son's case. I call you extended family for being able to do the things that you have been doing. I really appreciate that. So, all right. Thanks so much for that. All right. You guys can keep on with those questions. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, like I said, when you ask these questions, start with the letter started with the capital letter Q, or the word question in all caps, also the question mark. That'll help me as I'm coming down. Sometimes I come down kind of fast. So if you guys, I missed your question, please feel free to ask the question more than once. You know, if I don't get you this morning, come back this evening. I would love to get it. Hopefully I can get Sherry on as well. I'll be reaching out to other families. So if you guys here and you have a missing family loved one and you want to be part of the Q&A this evening, for instance, just reach out to me. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com or 803-200-7994, 803-200-7994. If you can, definitely do that. I definitely would love to have you on. I definitely would love to allow you to talk about your loved one. I'd love to be able to support that. So, all right. I do have a question here from D Love. Thank you, D Love. Mr. Robinson, did the coworker have Daniel's phone number? Yes, he did. If so, did he call Daniel as he drove off? No, he did not. And that's one of the things I was telling you guys. If he was so concerned, you know, that's the thing. I have two different stories. Like I said, one suggests that the job called him. So that came later after I'm talking about this. So people, you know, my son been missing almost a year. So it's good to add things now to bolster your story to fit, right? But let's go back to the original stuff. The original stuff will suggest that my son was missing
And this guy, he suggested that right instantly he was worried about Daniel. It wasn't no, oh, I waited till late on that evening and things like that, right? Um, um, if he's worried, why? I think somebody just said something about 3 o'clock. Why 3 o'clock? What's the magic thing about 3 o'clock, right? One of the biggest things is, and I know this based on Daniel's stuff, um, why you just simply call? You know, if I think something's wrong with the person, that's the first thing I would have done. Now I can't say, and I'm not gonna put certain things out because I do know some answers to some of that. But initially, if you saying somebody's you worry about somebody missing, why you just simply call them? Why you got to go through all the streams, staying left to the tracks and canvassing the tracks, and because you don't want to disturb them because you know this thing gonna be big and it's gonna go nationally, and the cops are gonna come looking, all that kind of stuff, and you taking red paint and painting rocks and all kind of stuff. I mean, why do all that? You know, if you know, you could just make a simple phone call. You know, so if you was that worried, you tell him and said, you say you was that worried. And one thing he said, he was so worried that he was trying to look in my son's eyes. Or he said, I looked in his eyes to see if they're dilated. I mean, my son's eyes is brown, dark brown, right? You guys can't even look at those cameras and see if my eyes dilated. You won't be able to see my pupils unless you take a flashlight and held it up. That's what the eye doctors do. They'll take a light and put that light in your eye and look at it. Even cops do it. Put a light in your eye to see if your eye is dilated. My son ain't gonna stand there and let some man put some flashlight in his eye, you know, to see if his eye is dilated. That's BS. You know what I'm saying? So why you checking his eyes and see if it's dilated? Why you want to check his eyes? You must be worried about something. So you worried about something, you would have definitely been making a phone call or something like that. So it don't make sense to me. None of that stuff makes sense to me. But without vetting a story, that's what the department does. That don't vet things, don't do forensic work on the scene. They'll just throw it on their report. Just like they did with this one-sided text messages from the young lady. One-sided, hearsay. Any court of law will say, hey, that's hearsay. That is one side of the story. Where the other side at? You know, what is that based on? It's some stuff, and the crazy part is it's based on some things she uploaded to their report them herself. You know, that type deal. It's based on that. That's hearsay. That's what she put up there. We don't know if that's facts or not. I don't have everything on his phone is wiped off. So yeah, you know, is this that by itself to stand alone, but they put in their report as evidence to say that Daniels did something his own, and to build that narrative that he was so heartbroken of a woman and he just probably off himself or something. You know, that's suggestion. Just put the suggestion out there. You know, I saw it as a character assassination. So at the time, but you know, we can go there too. All right, DeLove, Mr. Robinson, was Daniel's vehicle ever reported missing before the rancher found it? Daniel was reported missing before the rancher found it. As in the vehicle itself, the last thing I know about Daniel being missing was that he was in his vehicle, according to that guy at the well site. So that's the only thing we had to go by at the time. He was in his vehicle, waved, and drove off, you know. So the last thing we're looking for is him and the vehicle. I was looking for both. When I had started my searches out there before the vehicle showed up, I was looking for both. Everything is based on that well site, around that well site, because like I say, hey, make sure no criminal activity happened from that worker or whoever. Everybody's suspect to me. And farther out was saying that near that well site area and venturing out that way. You know, that's how my searches first started. Then when the vehicle showed up, of course, we expanded there. But like I said, the rancher claiming that when the vehicle was there, he thought it was fresh because he said, hey, this is how he explained it to me. Man, I thought it just happened. I thought somebody just wrecked the vehicle because he said, I've been out here for years. He's I'm fourth generation cattle rancher, right? And he see things out there in the desert all the time. All kind of people abandoning vehicles to you name it, right? And he said one thing about the desert, if something's sitting out there for a day or two, it get desert dirt on it. Dust. Desert dirt. The vehicle was too clean to him. It had no desert dirt on it. It hadn't been out there at all. It must have just happened that day. That's how he felt. It was too clean. The wheels was clean. So that's desert dirt would have been on it. That's one thing he said for sure. That's the reason why he said when his cattle came, if his cattle would have came through there, he would have known because they would have been licking that vehicle for salt. So
he reported it missing. He said he first went out and looked and started yelling, him and his workers or whatever, looking and yelling for this person, thought it just happened. And that's when he noticed it and said, wait a minute, that's the vehicle, I guess he heard when I was out there busting my behind trying to get some news coverage. He heard it on the local news about the vehicle, he said. And he called, and we called Buckeye about it, say, hey, I think this is the vehicle you guys I seen on the news. They asked for the license plate number. He gave them the license plate number, and they say, hey, yeah, that's the vehicle we was looking for. And that's when they came out 2 hours later. So that type deal. No, that's your question there. The vehicle wasn't reported missing. He was reported missing in his vehicle. So the last thing we know, but the thing is, I just reported him missing. And then when you go look at it, everything, we found out he was supposedly drove off in his vehicle. All right. Thank you for your question, Barry. Is it true that Daniel took photos of his work logs the day he went missing? Yes. And that was at the first well site. Was this normal according to his employer? I don't know if that's normal, but it was abnormal to me based on his phone. I was looking at his past things he was doing, and that was the first time he did that. So I don't know if it was significant or saying something. And I was told you before, that was something I'm looking into as well. I don't know how to read those type things, but I will have someone look at it. I do have copies of those, and have someone look at it who know how to read those type things. So he did it for a reason, the way I look at it. He put them laws down for a reason. Some of the things I'm sure is geology stuff that I just don't understand. So that type thing. So yeah, it is true that Daniel did take some photos of work logs and things like that at the first well site. Second well site, no. First well site. All right. All right, here we go. All right. Definitely look for any more questions. If you guys have those, I see it. Ambar, thank you so much for your question. I do have a question from Ambar. What does the police say on how or why the vehicle and clothes were found together, but days before, no sight of either in that location? Has there been a search on the last man that seen Daniel? There have been nothing on the last person that seen Daniel other than his word. There's been every time I talk to the Buckeye Police Department in the past, they say, "Hey, we asked them a question. Basically, we questioned the guy who seen the guy. They have a question. That's it. I have never heard them say, "Hey, we brought him into the interrogation room," like they brought me and my daughter into the interrogation room to ask them anything. They never called him into the police department. I haven't seen anything like that or heard anything that ever tell me that. As in for the vehicle itself, they put in the report the way they want it. They say, hey, the rancher found it. That's it. They would not say the rancher, according to the rancher, the vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior, right? They didn't put it in the report. They didn't put it, say, to back up the rancher's story. We've been over the area with the aircraft, and we didn't see the vehicle there either. We also had the Civil Air Patrol search the area, and they haven't even found the vehicle either with the help of the Buckeye Police Department. They're not going to put it in that report because that would go against their narrative that my son was driving around that desert for all them days or whatever the case may be, even though we know by my investigators investigating, doing real investigation, that the vehicles crashed 4 hours after he supposedly went missing at 9 o'clock, around 1 o'clock that day. So what happened between 1 o'clock that day with that vehicle and then fast forward to July the 19th, we just don't know, right? And but they want to make sure that story, they want to make sure it's so bad. Now, think about this, you guys. They wanted that story to stick so bad, they hired their own, instead of them going, I've been begging these people for drones, there's all kind of stuff to help me in my searches. They haven't done that. They didn't spend a dime on my son's searches out there with me when I've organized searches. But they took their money and hired, I know how much I paid my private investigator, a lot, thousands of dollars. And they took that money and put it on their own private investigator. I already have one, damn good one too, when it comes to SN reconstruction. And they went ahead and hired their own just to rebut, in my opinion, my investigator, because my investigator found all the stuff that they don't like. Because like I know they don't like it because once we turned that stuff into them, that's when they stopped. Our relationship went bad. They stopped talking to me as a family member. And they hired their own private investigator who's asking reconstruction as well. Supposed to be this good one, right? This guy have never seen my son's vehicle, never smelt it, never tasted, never touched it, didn't even look at him and handle my son's clothing, nothing. But made a full report about my son's vehicle. Even went to the point of going to some dealership instead of going to Jeep manufacturer, the makers of Jeep, and asked them about the discrepancy and the mileage in the computer and stuff. Went to some worker, I'm sure, tapped them on the shoulder, and that worker said what they want to hear and wrote it in their report. And they went that far to that extremes to make sure that story fit. That my son came out, and then you look at the illustration. This so-called ethnic reconstruction, in my opinion, he got an illustration. The vehicle comes straight down the ravine and went this, and he tried to accelerate up the hill and all kind of dramatic stuff. If you any dummy, even my well, I would say dummy, anybody who don't have an ethnic reconstruction degree or whatever, how they get their license or whatever, would have been out there like we have with utilizing. Now, this is a heavy vehicle. My son's vehicle is a heavy vehicle, and that terrain is not smooth like you're on some road for you to get up to 30-something miles per hour, right? Going up a hill at that. My son's vehicle had to go up a hill first and make barely on those little flat surface and then go down the ravine at 30-something miles per hour. We tried that with utilizing. We tried to retrace that hundreds of times. I would say hundreds of times, many times, utilizing quads and razors, lightweight vehicles made for that terrain, and we couldn't do it with that vehicle, get that speed up those vehicles. Ain't no way my son's vehicle get all that bouncing and foot coming off the accelerator because of the terrain to make it up to that speed. But according to this guy, he was able to do it supernaturally, do certain things because it fits that narrative. And I'm not falling for that. I'm not falling for stupidity. My son is missing. I don't fall for stupidity with people. I don't play their games. I don't play their word games and all that kind of stuff that goes on. I want facts and I want the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why I said, again, these people can't do anything for my son's case because it's too many games, too many, all this, in my opinion, too many games, too many misleading things, falsification reports. Like the father said his son is in love with a woman he didn't know. I don't say nothing like that. Well, I would say something like, my son had never described that to me. So this crazy stuff, you know. So what do the police say about that? They say what they want to say. They put that narrative there. They leave out things they want to leave out. They didn't put in this part when I talked to that guy myself with witnesses, and I went to them and say, this man changed his story about what happened to my son at that well site, about this stand left to the tracks. You don't see that in the report, but you see what he said in there. You see what they claim that some worker said he was acting strange. And even at the Waffle House, my son, the first time ever going there, like this worker at the Waffle House, see my son so many times and they have a relationship. Oh, Daniel just don't act like this when he come in. He was acting strange that day, like all the strange words and stuff. You know, come on now. You know, I like that. This irritates me, especially when I'm too intelligent for their stupidity. So you know that type deal. All right, if you guys have like, share, and subscribe to this channel, I really appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe, get the algorithms going to make sure that you know, I can get Dane's story as far as I can. I'm still looking for my son. I'm still reaching out to law enforcement, not Buckeye. I reached out to law enforcement to help in my son's case. That's the reason why I went to Tempe. That's why I went to the sheriff's department. That's why I went to Phoenix because and the FBI to try to get someone to really look into what happened to my son. I'm going to keep fighting for that. I'm going to keep making noise. I'm definitely wanting them to do something. I want law enforcement. I believe in law enforcement. I'm pro-police, but I ain't pro-BS from police, you know? So they bleed just like I do. They work just like I do. They have a job just like I had. I'm a soldier. I fought for this country. And you know what? It's certain inherent things you do when you put your hands up and say you're going to, for my instance, serve and protect the Constitution of the United States and the way of our life here in this country. And when you put your uniform on as a police officer, you raise your hand and say you're going to serve and protect the community. And then that's what you do. I don't care about your feelings and everything. You do your job And that's the bottom line. You put your uniform on every day. You go out there and do your job. You know the inherent risks and all that kind of stuff. You do your job. And that's it. We know the job when you go join the military. It's inherent risk. You do your job. I'll join the military, and they told me, hey, you know, the MOS I was picking, recruiter, being honest, man, you know, they died with that. That's what I want to do. You know, it's inherent risk. I know my risk. You know what I'm saying? Nobody put a gun in my head to make me do this job. It's my job. If something happened, you chose that job. You know what I'm saying? So you say you want to help people, you put yourself into those extremes to help people. That's your job to do so. There's no pity parties and things like that. You just do your job. All right. Dog Defender. Mr. Robinson, you may know them as the Diesel Brothers. I just wanted to get your okay. You know what? And that's what it was. It was the Diesel Brothers. And yes, you can, Dodge Fender. I really appreciate you have them reach out to me. I really appreciate that. I'd be grateful for that. So thanks so much. All right. All right. Do we have any more? Let's see here. Because I am at the 2-hour mark. I really wish I could have had Sherry on this morning. Very nice lady. You know, like I said, I'm really grateful to see that you know, she's not giving up on her mother. And you know, just touched me, you know what I'm saying, to hear that she had to go through that, you know, her and her family had to go through that, you know, that's a mother. So we had another young man here in Arizona. I reached out to him. I wanted him on as well. At the time, I couldn't go out to the searches with him, but I did reach out to him and give him everything I have information-wise to what I think he should do to kind of further help with his cause to try to find his mother. And as well, wanted him to be able to utilize this platform. I was unable to do so, and I understand that, you know, Sherry, she probably can say the same if she get on here. It's hard. It's hard sometimes to have to actually get behind a camera or something and then start telling the story. It's not easy as it look a lot of times for people. So I talk to content creators all the time to try to get families on, and it's hard to get families on because of that. You know, people reluctant to get behind these cameras and start talking about it, but they love their loved one and they really want that story to get out. But yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes. So I understand his plight. He just have his mother just became missing, and you know, it's hard. His mind is all over the place. I know my mind was all over the place. Them jokers told me they were gonna go search my son. Oh, my mind went all over the place. I just grabbed what I can without thought and put it in that vehicle and start driving. You know, so I mean, it happens. You know, this is your loved one, and you're gonna do whatever it takes. All right. I have a question here. Deborah Bridges, thank you so much for your question off of Facebook. Why was the coworker worried about Daniel? I do not know. I do not know. We know he got the statement say, oh, he even added something on this Paramount film thing now. He's saying, oh, he's running around in some circle or something. You know, I didn't hear that before. That ain't in the original report. But I'm saying, he even told my investigator, my former investigator, after my former investigator never told me this, by the way, but he told something on went on some kind of YouTube, one of the YouTube channels, said something similar what this guy said about him running around in circles. You know, he ran around in circles and all this stuff. That's new. Oh, really? That bolster your story that my son was acting strange or something? He's running around in some type of circles. What are we running around in some circles for? My son just left a well site. He left a well site at 7 in the morning, no problems. He supposedly went to a gas station and pumped $2 or $3 in gas or something. No problem. You know, for whatever reason, I don't know. You know, one thing, well, I have another theory about that, but I can't put that out because I do have something that will go with this guy. Kind of throw off his story. There's a lot of things that throw off his story that I can't share, but definitely was that, you know what I'm saying? Just like you said, why was he worried? Why are you so worried that he told these guys, also my investigator, that he noticed that now here it is, my son Boots supposed to be on that scene and all this everything else. Ask him what he's wearing. Can't remember where. I just know his shoes was untied. You know, you didn't notice nothing else about him, his color, this and that, but you know about his eyes
looking at his eyes, see if it was dilated and all this kind of crazy stuff. But you can't remember what kind of clothes he was wearing, you know. But you do notice his shoes untied. My son have one hand, you know, and if his shoes untied, his shoes can be untied if it want to. You know what I'm saying? My son do know how to tie a shoe, but he has one hand. So, you know, maybe times that he didn't tie a shoe. But that's nothing strange with a man with one hand. You know, so the thing is, you know, but you notice for the first time you meeting my son, you didn't mention about him having one hand. You didn't mention about his clothing, that you saw into his eyes and stuff, looking into a man's eyes to see if they're dilated or whatever. But you didn't notice his clothes. You know, come on now. So it's a lot of things that just don't make sense with that, the whole story, the narrative. I'm not calling a man a liar. All I'm saying is the story don't make sense to me, and it makes him suspicious to me. And that's the only thing I can say about that. But you know what? Until I get other proofs, I'm everybody's suspect to me. So, you know, I do have one look like a question here. Why was it a thought to even check Daniel's pupils? That's the same thing. Who does check strangers' pupils? You know, I can see people acting strange or whatever you may want to call it in your own opinion, and you don't go look in their pupils or something, you know, whatever. What makes it his job to even think about even doing something like that? You know, what make him a medical professional to even determine that type deal? This man have all kind of skills or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I guess he's a doctor as well. So that type stuff, you know. Couple things he said. So I mean, it's a lot of things I can break down with that. Like I said, with the whole trail thing, you guys see me out there tracing his steps. So many trails out there from tire tracks. You can't know the difference from the other. I have one guy try to challenge me on how much rain fell on the ground and things like that, to try to bolster the man's story. I've been out there when it's been pouring down with the monsoon season and things like that, where we cancel searches and went out there anyway. And it's still the same way. I know how that terrain works. And this person had challenged me. They ain't been out there as much as I have. You know, say they just recently came out there well after I've been out there when it was actually the rainy season. And I can tell you guys that those tracks do not wash away. It's not enough significant rain in Arizona for anything to wash away. Just again, I'm moving to the side again. Wish I could see the bottom of this. This vehicle here. You see right here under the vehicle? This is a ravine. The vehicle sitting across almost like where the water flows through, goes down south, right? My son's car is sitting on that ravine like a bridge, for instance, right? And you all guys have seen that whenever a flash flood come, and sometimes these bridges get washed out, or the water and debris that water's carrying all the time hits that bridge and it's pressing up against the bridge, and the water running up under the bridge, but that debris is pressing up against the bridge itself. My son's vehicle is a bridge going across that ravine. And if water was coming down that bad, right, which it wasn't, you look at the weather report, it was no rain at all, probably. According to the rancher, it didn't even rain 5 minutes. Just like he said, debris would have built up right there. You would have seen no space between that vehicle and that ravine, because there would have been a buildup of debris sitting there, and also it would have been a ring there of water. It wasn't enough significance of rain there. So I'm just saying, I'm using that example to some of the stuff that haven't been done in my son's case to even determine the factuality of things that happened. The proof, the vehicle wasn't there, just like the rancher said. Even Buckeye himself proved that point by not finding nothing, you know. But they going against their own evidence. They're going against their own selves just to prove the vehicle was there in their opinions, you know, for whatever reason, you know, that type deal. So, you know, that's the kind of things. You have a question here. Also, Dodge Fender, I have a question for Texas, a question for Texas EquiSearch. Why Dylan and not Daniel? I don't know who that is, Dylan. That name sounds familiar. Well, I think it was a young man that was similar case to my son. That is, I think he was in Colorado or one of these states, Idaho or something. But I did hear a gist of his story, and I do talk to the reporter who reported on that, and I want to learn more about his case. But I did hear it's like a farmer or something, and we're missing. There was some similarities to him and my son's case. And I get your question there. I did reach out, and I hear people hit me up all the time about, and that's why I tell you guys, I reach out to a lot of nonprofits, and none of them showed up to this date. You know, I have some nonprofits that's coming this weekend on the 25th, and I hope they do come, and I really believe that in my heart they will. But I reached out to a lot of nonprofits, and they just didn't show. You know, Apple search itself, say my son's case don't fit their profile, whatever that means. But in his defense, like I told you, I'm keep saying that they did refer me to some drone um, nonprofit that also didn't come out. So that type deal. So I don't mind doing things on my own. That's the reason why God blessed me to have my own nonprofit, Daniel Robinson Foundation, that will be doing things for people as well, to help other families, not to go through what I had to go through just to get some help that you're not getting from law enforcement, that's sworn to protect, sworn to do the job for you, that you're paying your tax dollars to be able to help you if something like this happened in your family. They use those tax dollars to help you, like I said, find your loved one at all costs, like they would for their own mother if their mother go missing, or their sibling, or their child, or whatever the case may be. So, all right, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Help spread Daniel's story. I'm getting down to the end. I said this before. I really I'm doing this once a week, so I try my best to try to get all the questions I can. If my team will put on here, if I have something that's coming up, it's almost 9 o'clock. If I got something, you guys let me know. I just want to make sure I ain't gonna pass my scheduled time. I need to look at my calendar. But if Ken, thank you, Barry. If Ken was if Ken was the last to see Daniel, then when did the fake agent seen Daniel? If Ken was there all day, he would have run into this alleged agent, right? I believe so. It's supposed to have been that guy, the fake agent. I can't call him that. He did come to me, like I said, um, from my former um, search coordinator, and they brought him to me. He brought him to me, and my investigator. This guy saying he was a federal law enforcement officer, and he had some information about my son. I'm not a person that try to judge people off of their appearance, but I did semi-judge him off his appearance, and he didn't seem credible as a officer. But say, hey, maybe he's undercover type deal. I don't know. But I did send him to my investigator. Like I said at the time, my investigator is also this former coordinator supposedly vetted him for me. That's not my job. As my investigator's job. That's what he got hired for, to vet this guy. He later came out and said he vet the guy's story and it's credible, and he's a federal law enforcement officer. He even mentioned it to me when I was having my family's press conference. I'm talking about my investigator when I had the press conference there for my family. He corrected me a couple times. Hey, he's a federal law enforcement, right? And so I believe that the guy was a phony. He's not an officer at all. He must have had a fake badge that he was showing me, all of that. Later I found out. So a lot of other things I found out about him. But the thing is, I'm saying is, this guy said that he had my son's in his rifle sights. I'm a gunner for the U.S. Army in the past, and I use a lot of weapons, right? And one thing is you putting people in your sights of your weapons and things the way he was described. Oh, I seen your son through the sights of his weapon. And anyway, he saw him again the second time near the Wagon Wash on the shore line, doing like he was cleaning his car or something. You gave me a whole full story, right? So I would think in that area, if he claiming, which like I said, you guys, my son can't direct nobody. He never been there before. This is his first time ever going to his work site. He never been in that part of the desert ever. And he did some research about the desert, where you can go search and where you can go shoot your rifle and all this kind of stuff, who land belong to who and all that. He's up there going to a website. He had to ask for directions to get there. But this guy said that my son gave him directions, told him, hey, no, don't shoot over here because we work this is where I work at. You need to go over there. That's where people go to shoot their weapons, right? That was a red flag right there, just like Shiro's Nation here put it out. That's the red flag. And my son had never been there before. So, but again, just like you're saying, Barry, definitely this worker, Ken, said he was there all day, right?
He all day for several days, out even after that, all day is there at that well site. And yeah, yeah, he would have saw him. And this guy said, he changed the story though. Mind you, he changed the story after my investigator found the infotainment system information came back, showed the vehicles crashed. The first crash happened around 1:00 that day. And that guy heard that, he changed the story. Oh, I seen him around 10. At first he started off saying, hey, it was about 1:00. It was about 1:00 when, as soon as he heard we found out, he changed the story to 10. So, that in turn make him a suspect as well. All right. But the funny part about this twist of this, I did talk to Buckeye Police Department about this in January when they came out to one of my requests to search a well. And they said they vetted his story. This guy told me he did go to Buckeye. He called me and told me he went to Buckeye, did an interview and all the stuff. They said they vetted his story. And I talked to Detective Biff, and I was like, look, well, this guy, I told him about what I found out. Well, they ain't got nothing to do with it. His story is credible. They believe his story. I don't, but they do. The Buckeye Police Department believe his story, according to this detective. I don't believe his story because it don't make sense. My son wouldn't know how to direct him anywhere. So, that type deal. All right. But that's police work. Really good work. All right. They're doing an excellent job. All right. I think I have a question here. Okay. That's, let's see. I'll just put this Kate thing up here because I'm addressed as I'm not sure what it's saying. But some people think Daniel was confused, disoriented, and probably had a concussion, which is why he left his cell phone and wallet. But how was he able to take out the memory card instead of using his phone? And that's the truth. One thing, yeah, a lot of that was missing. He wouldn't have did all of that to his phone, first of all. The other part is if he was disoriented and all the stuff. One of the biggest things too, you got to look at this from a law enforcement standpoint. They look at the scene in their eyes, unless it was their own child. They say they don't see nothing criminal about that. My son's clothing, everything down from the unaware stop. The vehicle wasn't there 2 to 3 days prior. They knew about all of that. All this stuff, no criminal, to the point they gave me everything, like I told you guys before. Now, but at the same time, well, Mr. Robinson, I didn't understand that. I'm sorry, that's my phone, you guys. Google. But anyway, one thing about it, from a law enforcement standpoint, if it's an endangered person, they have to go out and look for this person, right? They say they don't see no crime, but at the same time say, hey, this is how they're telling me when they told me, the detective was explaining the truck rolled and flipped and twisted and this and land on the side. The good part though, Mr. Robinson, your son didn't sustain no injury. We didn't see any blood in the vehicle. He didn't sustain no injury. But we believe he have a severe head injury, a brain injury. He kicked his way out the sunroof in the brain, and he went through all the story about how much a brain injury would cause you to shred your clothes. That's the reason why his clothes is on the ground, because when you get a brain injury, you get hot and make you want to shred your clothes off. So if you believe my son was naked out there with a brain injury and you didn't go really looking for him the way you should, you waited that day you claimed you went to looking, and then you waited another it never went again, actually, because that was during the time the vehicle showed up. And you don't think but you go give me everything that belongs to him as he gonna come back with a brain injury out there naked in the desert. Come on now, that's showing no care at all. So that type of stuff. So it's no defense for this department. I don't care what they write in their report. Nothing means nothing to me what they write in their report. They can write what they want to write. They can put stuff on social media, wherever they can. They're not right. 100% not right. So the thing is, if he's an endangered person, it was their duty to go out there and look for my son, and they didn't do that. They didn't really go out there and find out what happened to my son. If they really feel that he had some type of head injury, but I can't tell you again, head injuries from my own personal experience do not cause you to shred your clothes, despite of what these guys will say, and that's from a guy who have been experienced that from war myself. So definitely it don't make you shred. It didn't make me shred my clothing or anything like that. Or even I never felt hot and like I want to shred some clothing. So that's a bunch of crap to me. But to hear somebody look you in the eye and can tell you that kind of stuff, yeah, okay. And I don't think any of those officers out there are scientists and things like that. So, or doctors. All right. All right, guys, that's it for me today. You guys can please come on this evening, Q&A. I will be here this evening, like I said, 5:30 Pacific time, as well as that'll be 5:30 here in Arizona p.m. And that'll be 8:30 p.m. out there on the East Coast. If you guys can join me on the Q&A, hopefully I can have Sherry back on to talk about her mother, Diane T. Francis, and or anybody else who wants to be on the Q&A to talk about your loved one. Thank you so much for sharing your time here. Don't forget, again, the Day of Remembrance that will be on June 25th, 2022. I definitely need you guys out there and support. Also, you have family member that's missing. Please come out there. There's a lot of resources for you, and it'll help you out a lot in the long run. It's my way of giving back. You guys have helped me, and you guys have been here for me. I definitely want to be there for you and other families as well. So, trying to do everything I can on my end. Keep praying for me and my family. Again, I don't ever want you guys to forget about my family. I do a lot, and I am standing in the gap for my family, and I'm doing a lot. And a lot of times, it'd be dismissed. I don't really get to mention my family a whole lot sometimes, but they're there, and I want you guys to pray for them as well. It's coming up to a year, and you can imagine what a mother had to go through just to know that here it is almost a year, and her son is still missing. But definitely for myself as well. It's getting close. I really feeling all kind of ways about the search that I'm planning to do on the 25th, as well as this event on the 25th, a few days after the anniversary date. And I don't like these word anniversary, but the date that my son went missing. And, 'cause anniversary date may sound like something exciting. No, this is a terrible time to be constantly reminded that, it's going on the year. It went by so fast. It went by really fast. And my son's still out somewhere. And I still don't have those answers that I really need. Again, I need a department. I need the resources. I need somebody to step up. And I know these departments hear me. I know people listen to me, and welcome Buckeye and everybody else who's definitely coming into my Q&As and stuff like that. Just don't speak, monitoring me or whatever the case they do, but then stay in the background and do nothing. So I think you're complicit when people sit back and don't do everything they can. It's not your money. It's our money. It's our resources. Allocate those things and do the right thing, and make sure my son's case is being handled the proper way. Make things happen. Because if it was an officer vehicle cruiser sitting here and his uniform on the ground and there was no trace of this officer, you best believe they'll burn every resource they can. They will make this a criminal case. In the same exact manner, they'll make this case a criminal case so they can go search and look and see what happened to this officer. So do the same thing for my son. Go out there and make this thing happen to go look for my son. That's all asking them to do. Go find my son, and they won't hear from me. You'll hear from me because I'll be doing a lot for other people, families, but you won't hear from me. I definitely need these guys to stand up and do the right thing. Not Buckeye, because they can't do the right thing. They messed up. They need to move on and give it to someone else who can. And that's what I'm calling for. So if the FBI, I don't want to take it because I'm doing such a great job, we need to find somebody else. So, we need to figure this out. So anyway, thank you guys for coming in to this Q&A. Again, I apologize for this morning. We had some technical difficulty. I apologize for Sherry. I hope she come back again. You guys, like I said, have any family members that need to come on, I definitely would like to have you on. I definitely like to have you here in this Q&A to share your loved one's story. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to you. I know the pain that it is to go through this, and it's not easy. So thank you guys. Love you all. Thank you. I'll see y'all this evening on this evening Q&A. I'm Dave Robinson, Father Geologist Daniel Robinson. Thank you. Love you. Talk to you later.